Peaks podcast. At last, I know it's been a while. Did you miss us? I missed us. We're back.
I missed all of us.
Yes, I missed you, Xan.
I missed you, Charles.
It's been 3 weeks. You've been overseas, in Spain, lovely Spain.
Yes, I was in Valencia, Spain, where along the streets of Valencia, Spain, are Valencia orange trees.
Nice.
Which I thought was, kind of, way to own it.
So you kept your citrus levels up. That's good.
I did not come home with scurvy. I came home with what I am calling the...
So you're good, you're good for your next pirate voyage.
I'm good for my next pirate voyage.
Arr,
yeah.
I did not get the scurvy.
Yeah, I don't have scurvy. Me and Shackleton can go wherever we need to explore. I'll be fine. I did, however, come back with what I'm referring to as the 100-year-old phantom of the Spanish flu.
Ooh.
So
that's a mouthful.
It's like, the movie The Fog, where it's like 100 years later, all the lepers come back and kill everybody. This is 100 years later, and now the flu is coming back to get on everybody's nerves again.
So somehow it was unearthed, and it infected you while you were over there.
Exactly. And hopefully it will not...
So I thought it was just con crud.
Well, it could very well have been con crud.
Or did it start into con crud and then kind of evolve?
It started, though, on the first or second day of the show.
Okay. Somebody
who was also a guest at the show was sick. Mm-hmm. And then somebody else who was a guest at the show was sick. And then the wife of a guest of the show was sick. And I hung out with those people.
And they told two friends, and they told two
friends,
and so on. Yeah.
And then on the 8-hour flight home, there was constant coughing and lack of covering your mouth. And
in an isolated environment. Hooray.
Isolated in the recirculated air. So I think I was just sort of done for. After the second person was like, I don't feel so good. I think I have what so-and-so had. And then then by the third person, I was like, you know what? I think I'm screwed. Doomed. So yeah, I think I'm just calling it the Spanish flu because I, came home with it from Spain.
Right.
And
I suppose it's better than Spanish fly, but
that, well, I don't, depends on who gives it to you. We were discussing before the podcast. I did get serenaded, but
that's true. That's true.
About as far as we're ever going to go with that.
That's pretty cool. So that's
Thursday, not this past Thursday, but the previous Thursday, I was in Spain, and then the 1st of March is a Romanian holiday called Marțișoară, and it's sort of a Romanian Valentine's Day kind of a thing. It's sort of a celebration of the thaw and the spring and rebirth and things like that.
Renewal and all that.
Renewal and love and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's what Chris and I do instead of Valentine's Day.
Okay, that's cool.
Because frankly, it's a heck of a lot easier to get a restaurant reservation.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier, and it's not in that way. And it's always been nice because, when I've been working, people who want to maybe cut out early because they have dinner with their husband, they can because I'm still around, that kind of thing. So, and we don't feel like we have to rush around and, pick a place a month before so we can do something. We can pretty much just play it by ear because this is America. This is not Romania. And even in Romania, it's more like festival family stuff, not necessarily like romantic dinner kind of stuff. So,
gotcha.
So since technically for me, last Thursday was a holiday, that's why we took so long again. So hopefully I will not be traveling anytime in the near future.
Okay.
Chris and I are thinking that we should really, because the weather's starting to get nice, so there's some stuff we want to do around the house, and, we want to take advantage of the fact that we have a backyard that we barely get a chance to take care of sometimes during con season. So
what a concept.
I know, right?
Yes. All right. So, in the meantime, we're here to talk some Twin Peaks, lest ye forget. But
we're here.
Yep. So, as promised or threatened 3 weeks ago, we are going to discuss Diane, ... note the ellipses, the Twin Peaks tapes of Agent Cooper. And this was written by Scott Frost, brother of Mark Frost. So, hooray, nepotism. And this was a kind of an audio book done on cassette, released by Simon & Schuster Audio back on October 1st, 1990, just days after the season 2 premiere. So this was kind of like a little bit of advanced information if you watch Twin Peaks live, as I did back in the day.
Right. And the interesting thing about this is I think we tend to forget, especially now after the second series has been out and after the movie, we tend to forget how Josie-centric that first season and second season were.
Right.
That, after Laura Palmer was buried and after when we were trying to find out what actually was going on, when we sort of knew something kind of supernatural and weird was going on with Laura's killer. But yeah, this was a very Josie-centric time in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget about that because, once Andrew came back, it was more like the Andrew Catherine show for a while. So
yeah, it was almost like, okay, because they're brother and sister. So yeah, they were almost just like, this wacky, weird family that, with Pete, the downtrodden, the downtrodden husband. Yeah. But that's true because he was friends with Andrew. So and that used to drive Catherine nuts. So it was just this weird, like, screwy family. Okay, so this right here, because I remember, like listening to this because I was at this time just starving for anything Twin Peaks because we'd had the summer off. Obviously, just dying for clues at this point because those first 8 episodes of season 1 obviously did not check all the boxes.
It's not enough.
No, it's just like, give me more. I need more. Yeah, so you all the tie-in books and whatnot, you're just trying to consume as much of that as possible at this point. And so this release compiles many of the recorded diary entries from that Dale Cooper made to his assistant, or perhaps something more, Diane Evans, as we now know.
Right. Now, it's interesting to me. I have, back then, just Diane was sort of this nebulous concept.
Yes.
But now I listen to these tapes and I picture Laura Dern listening to, like, getting the tape in the envelope and putting push and play. I'm like, oh my God, I don't care about the pot. I
would kind of like to, like, just imagine that, okay, maybe she's sitting there with a cigarette going, F you, Dale.
F you, Dale. Yeah, like, I don't want to hear the Norwegians singing any more than you do.
Yes.
Okay?
But apparently she cared enough to him to hook up with
that was not the Norwegians, though. That was the Icelandic.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the Icelandic people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we'll discuss that because they do kind of make an appearance. Now, interestingly, because some of the audio recordings had been featured on the show, what they did was they essentially just spliced those in and, chronologically.
Right.
And then had this new material. So we get some new material and quite a bit of it. I'd say it's about maybe 3/5.
I'd say it's 70-30 new material.
You think? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
That's fair. So it's mostly new material, which is great because, hey, you spend that kind of money back in the day. You want something new. So
because we were kids. I mean, this was allowance money. It's not like, did I get paid enough at my job this week? This was like, did I rake enough leaves to buy this tape?
Exactly. So, so Kyle MacLachlan thankfully returned to voice these entries because, hey, who wants to hear an impersonator for this?
I think if they'd done an impersonator, no one would have bothered.
Yeah. Exactly.
So he did a fabulous job.
Yeah, and he actually won a Grammy or nominated for a Grammy Award, believe it or not.
That's right, for audiobook. Yeah, that's right.
For spoken word performance, so that's cool. And we got a cameo by Kimmy Robertson,
Lucy Moran,
in one of the entries, which is kind of cool.
Not too far west.
Yes,
but as much as I love Kyle MacLachlan. I love anything he does. I think he's fabulous. I have said before on this podcast that if it's late at night and Showgirls is on TV, I sit and watch it. I can't help it. And as much as I love Sex and the City, as much as I love the mayor of Portland, I think this is the role he was born to play. I think this is quintessential.
And if you follow him on Twitter, he pretty much sees it that way now as well, I think.
I think so. And I think
because he's constantly making Cooper references about whatever is going on in the day, and which is cool because obviously some actors want to dissociate themselves from their roles. Some want to do it even if it's like the most well-known role. They don't want anything to do with it.
And I think it's good. I mean, he has been able to be other things to other fandoms. There's
right because he's been on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so he's got a Marvel Cinematic Universe tie-in. He's obviously Portlandia, and so lots of different fan bases.
And I think there's probably more Twin Peaks fans that watch Sex and the City than Sex and the City fans watch Twin Peaks.
Probably, I would say that's a fair argument.
I would say that's a fair. I mean, they're very not. I mean, if your favorite TV show is going to be Sex and the City, Twin Peaks is probably not going to be your oeuvre.
Right.
But I liked Sex and the City, and he has a fan base there as well. Some things that are completely different, and he at least can be something different than he's not. I adore Henry Winkler. Absolutely love him, but he's Fonzie. I mean, what else do you know him from?
Exactly.
I mean, I know him from a lot of different things. He's one of my favorite things.
Night Shift with Michael Keaton.
Night Shift is a fabulous movie. If you guys have never seen it, it's a bizarre movie where they run a prostitution ring out of a morgue.
But
really weird, but it's a very, very good movie. It's one of the first directorial outings by Ron Howard, so it has some pretty good moments.
Oh, I didn't realize he directed that.
Yeah, Ron Howard directed that. Yeah.
Oh.
That's part of why he was cast in that movie, because to try and get him into something different than the Fonzie role, because he was the straight man.
Right, he was trying to get out of that stereotype. Yeah.
Right, he's very much a straight man in that. So, and if you watched Arrested Development, him as Jeffrey Tambor's lawyer is hilarious. Him in oh my God, in Parks and Rec as Jean Ralphio and Mona Lisa's father, genius. He's so good. He's like, just give her some money. It's easier. It's like, would you like to adopt my children? They're horrible people.
See, I would think now would be much easier for him to break out of that or break away from that, because he looks so different. He doesn't look like Fonzie anymore.
He doesn't look like Fonzie, and he's done some things too that are just so non-Fonzie. Like when I saw him in Scream, I was so excited. I was like, yes, Henry Winkler, because Henry Winkler's great. He's a great actor. He's an interesting guy. He's written books for children about what it's like to be dyslexic. I mean, he's a cool dude. I mean, he's a cool guy. But I mean, he's Fonzie, and Kyle MacLachlan, I think, has been lucky enough to have. I mean, let's not forget too that Kyle MacLachlan starred an Oscar-nominated picture one time.
Exactly.
So he's been around, but I definitely think this is the role he was born to play. And anytime we get an opportunity to hear him play that, I think it's a treat for us as an audience.
Yeah, and obviously this little
gem. Look at you with it on CD.
Yeah. What I did there, I did a little customized version.
Oh, did you do a little riffing action and a little Photoshop action?
Well, actually, this is available on the MP3 is available on the Internet Archive.
Oh.
So this is where I procured it from the Internet Archive.
Okay.
And then burned myself a copy on disc, and then made myself a little spiffy CD cover.
Check you out.
So using the original box images.
Nice.
So,
the original Simon and Schuster box that came in.
Yeah, exactly. So you got the nice cover art So I went all out because I figured, well, I've got it now. I can listen. It was much more convenient to do this so I could just pop in the CD at work and start listening.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. I'm going to admit that this is probably.
You could do the same for MP3, but it's just nice to look at the cover art where you.
It is nice to look at the cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's something to put on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
That's always good.
I could put it with my other Twin Peaks CDs.
Your other Twin Peaks stuff, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, speaking of which,
yes.
Well, after this thought, I'll finish this thought. I have listened to probably 2 cassette tapes in the last 10 years, and this is one of them. The only other...
And it didn't, like, jam up in the spooling?
No, it didn't. It actually sounded pretty good. I was impressed. I do need to clean the heads on my tape deck.
Right.
But it sounded pretty good. I still have an old stereo that I bought probably in 2002, 2003, somewhere around there. No, 2005. I bought that stereo in 2005. I remember it was a Christmas thing. I bought a stereo and my first iPod. It was excellent.
Ooh, yes.
So,
I remember my first iPod. All nice and silver. And yeah.
Oh, see, mine was black and red. I had the U2 iPod.
Oh, very nice. You got the... Oh, yeah. See, I was the OG iPod guy. Oh, wait, actually, I take that back. I had the first iPod Mini.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't the original, like, really big one.
Not the big bricky one, but
Not the big bricky one. It was the first Mini, so it was silver
with the rounded side.
Yes, exactly. Yes. The rounded edges. Yes.
Yeah. No, mine was the U2. It was 20 or 40 gigabytes. I forget which one. Yeah. And it was New Year's Day. I went to go buy it, and that's when
on New Year's Day.
Yep. And that's when I found out that my ex-boyfriend worked at the Apple Store. I had no idea. I walked in, I'm like, okay, this is going to be fast. We're going to buy this and we're going to leave. Okay, out of here right now.
Smoke bomb.
Yeah. So we've checked out and I've got my bag and Chris is like, hey, come here, look at this. I'm like, later, another time. We're coming back another time. So yeah, it was
not at all awkward.
No. I found out later from mutual friends that he wasn't too happy about that I showed up. I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't get the newsletter. You didn't send me your Christmas letter saying I work at the Apple Store now.
That's funny.
So anyway, yeah, I had a cassette. I still have that. I keep that cassette deck specifically so I can still listen to the few tapes that I have.
Very nice. And, so was it a nice blast from the past? Because I know it was for me when I listened to this.
Well, it was, and then I was like, I have the stereo is in my Pez room.
Yeah.
So like I have a little sofa and chair down there, and I'm just chilling out on the sofa. I'm like, oh my god, I have to get up and turn it over.
Not with the CD version.
I forgot about that part. No, I can't get too comfortable on side A.
Yeah, this is why I went through the effort.
Nice. Yeah. See. Yeah. You're playing it ahead. Exactly.
See, this is not my first rodeo.
No.
So this would now it's interesting because the total runtime on this thing is just 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's not very long.
It's like 44:17 seconds.
Yeah, each side is like 22 minutes long.
Yeah, exactly. So, like obviously, you're just starting to get into it by 20 minutes, and then you have to flip the cassette over,
and then you're like, oh, what's going to happen? What's happening with Sheriff Truman in this mysterious suit? Oh, the tape is over.
Yep.
And then you remember, like, oh yeah, this was like 1990. What did you say? It was 1991. 1990. Yeah.
Yeah. This is October 1st.
There was not a lot of Twin Peaks back then, so It's funny to go back and listen to it now and see how much more we know.
Yeah, and obviously we've got the benefit of hindsight here because here we are in 2018, listening to this and going, oh yeah. Well, this is obviously this, and this is this, and
this is going to be that, and this is a red herring, and this is not going to matter, and
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's try and run through this. I don't know how detailed we want to get into this because some of these segments are just very simplistic.
Well, the main thing to remember about this cassette is that there's really nothing new in this. There's not these major bombshells. It's more of a companion piece for the major fan.
Right.
But it's fun.
It's just kind of nice to hear, like, obviously MacLachlan is Cooper, and then, just kind of get a little more insight into his thought process, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting about this tape is as I was listening to it, I realized that I listened to this tape a lot at one point in my life. And so, because I realized, like, oh, I haven't heard this in a long time. I barely remember it. And then I realized that I was listening to it. I know what's coming. Like, I know what the next line is.
You remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are times when, I know, Charles, you know this about me, but I'm a quoter. I'm one of those people that remembers lines from songs and books and movies.
Just a wee bit. And you're excellent at it, I might add.
Thank you. Yes.
If you ever need a reference quote, go to Xan.
I try my best.
Xan will accommodate you somehow. She'll just
if you
pull it
set
right
me
out
up,
of there.
My life's goal is if you set me up for me to be able to knock it back for you. So
she's a walking, talking Simpsons quote machine.
That is true. This is a true story. But what's funny is that sometimes when, as a quoter, there are things that you quote and you know they're quotes, but you don't necessarily think about the fact that they're quotes.
Right.
And then you hear the thing that you've been saying for all these years. You're like,
that's where I got that from. Yes.
And my family, I come from a family of quoters, and we have family friends. My friend Sarah is from my friend Sarah and her family are family friends. Her mom Deb and her brother Eric and her late father Greg were great friends of her family, and we are all quoters together. And they have their family quotes, we have our family quotes, and then we have the quotes that we all have together. And there will be times when we'll be watching a movie, and I'll say to Chris, "That's why we all say this. It's from this movie." That's where this comes from. It's like or he'll even look at me. He's like, "Is that why you say that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's this movie." But I will often refer to food that is not well prepared as something that should never happen to a dog. And I was listening to this going, that's where I get this from. Like, I couldn't remember where I gotten that. But there's a scene where he is at the airport and he's like, what they've done to the coffee here shouldn't happen to a dog, Diane. Right. And I'm like, that's where I got this from. So,
see, I'm the same way with like certain movies or whatnot. Like, just somehow that line of dialogue will creep into my everyday speech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just all of a sudden shows up, and then you're like, where'd that even come from? Or you'll watch a movie, or you'll see the show again. You'll be like,
that's where I get that.
Yeah, that's why I do that. But yeah, but to start out this cassette tape, which cracks me up, is he starts, Diane, you can tell by the quality of this recording that I have purchased a new recorder, and he goes in, and he talks about how he declined the rent to own option.
Right. Who gets a rent to own? On a record.
An option on a cassette deck that is like literally the size of like a sandwich. Like, for those of you young people out there who had never felt this thing, it was that you saw Cooper using it, so you know that it's like maybe like 3 inches longer than an iPod.
Yes.
And it's it looks heavy, but it's not terribly heavy.
It's basically like the size of your cell phone.
It's basically the size of your cell phone, but it is about maybe like pocket, 3/4 of an inch thick.
Yes, it is. Well, yeah, because you get that nice little click sound.
You get that clicky sound because there's the buttons and you have to tape it. And it's not terribly heavy because, like I said, it probably only took 2 to 3 AA batteries. Right. So, like, there's only batteries on one side, so it's not that heavy.
Because, it's designed to be kept in your shirt pocket.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
But, the thing is, it's like, I understand that a government salary is nothing that you're going to get, wealthy on or anything like that. But there would be absolutely no reason to do a rent-to-own option on one of these little mini cassette recorders. We're talking, like, back then, this one was probably $80 at the maximum.
Yeah, I picture Cooper like, okay, he's at the bank going, Diane just made a bank loan to purchase my new pocket cassette recorder.
I know, 12 payments of $8 or whatever. He talks about how that, what is this quote about how it may look like the road to affluence, but it's the road to ruin or something where if you just buy too many things on credit. Yeah. But
as we learned, if Cooper really needed money, all he has to do is go gambling because he counts cards and
we know he counts cards.
And he brags about how he always brings the bureau back like what 12%.
12% return. He talks about it here, and he talked about learning how to count cards in the in My Life, My Tapes. So you're well aware.
I would think if he really needed the money, he could do that.
And Cooper is Mr. Jackpots.
Yep.
So he could count cards at the blackjack table, or he can just look for the flame above the slot machine.
Hello.
That's all you gotta do.
Hello.
That's all he needs.
Yeah, Mr. Jackpots. So
But
I like where he talks about the here in this opening bit, he's like he's like a bargain is a bargain no matter what the cost. No matter what the cost.
Yeah.
So obviously he's bargain shopping on his.
He is, and so I mean, especially if when you're a kid that the 21st Street gang might steal that from you.
Yeah.
Or what street was that? The 14th Street, 20th Street. What was it?
I forget. Oh yeah. I want to say like 24th Street Gang or something
Okay,
like that.
somebody listened to our podcast last time and then tell us what it was.
Yeah, exactly. We could do that, but
We could do that, or
actually, if I had
how
my
organized I am. Look at what's still on my desk. Right now.
nice, there you go.
I still have the biography on my desk because I haven't had time
yet. Yeah.
to do anything. As you can tell from my Kim Carnes voice, I'm kind of sick. I brought back Spanish flu.
And she's got Betty Davis eyes.
I do. I'm crazy in the night. So,
with her husky voice.
That's right. I'll unease you.
Never please you.
Precocious. If
you're a Kim Carnes fan and you know that song, you're dying at that reference.
That joke is like right out of
Exactly.
82, people.
Exactly.
If you're still living in 1982, you are laughing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's basically like if you're listening to the 80s on 8 and the Sirius XM with like Alan Hunter or Nina Blackwood.
I don't quite have the husky that Nina Blackwood has. I'm more of a Kim Carnes.
I don't think anybody has the husky.
Yeah. All the boys think I'm a spy. That's what's going on right here, right now. So, but yeah, I'm a little disorganized right now in my life, but it's all in piles. So
That's okay.
It's not like
it's an organized,
organized thing, and you can walk through my house, and it's not like the health department's going to get called.
Okay, so you're not going to be on Hoarders anytime soon.
Not going to be on Hoarders.
Okay.
Not anytime soon.
So, and let's see. In this first segment, he also talks about he's picking up a black suit, upping his total to 5.
He's total to 5.
5 black suits.
$100 including alterations. That's a good deal on a black suit.
Yeah, and he makes a comment: 1 for each day of the week. So presumably he just wears one suit every day, and then just gets them all clean. Yeah. Probably has a rotating schedule of getting them dry cleaned. And
probably has a Monday suit, a Tuesday suit, a Wednesday suit, and then on the weekends he's just wearing FBI.
And then it makes sense because
sweatpants.
Like if you know anything about Albert Einstein, apparently he only had 3 outfits because.
Charles,
yes.
Can I ask you to fess up and tell me how you know this fact about Albert Einstein?
Because I'm a World War II buff.
Really? Oh my God! That's so you actually know this.
So I actually know this. So, yeah.
I know this fact because of The Fly.
Oh, okay. See it.
Yeah.
That yours is much cooler, but
no, yours is like actually you picked up a damn book at once in your life at one point. No, that's awesome. Yeah, because
apparently he didn't want to waste the energy, the mental thought process of deciding on what to wear.
Yeah,
he'd rather be thinking of how to build an atomic bomb, for crying out loud.
You need to think about the theory of relativity, and you don't need to think about what pants go with what blazer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
no, but yeah, Seth Brundle. That's why he only wore the same thing. He wore the same thing every day,
right? Because
Einstein had did the same thing, and
but then the idiot spliced his DNA with a fly. So what does he know?
That tragic bastard.
Brundle fly.
Oh, Brundlefly is the saddest thing ever.
Well, especially
damn you, Cronenberg!
Especially at the end when he
don't even start. Do you want me to cry?
No,
do you want me to cry?
No.
Do you want me to cry?
Nope.
I think I've told you the story about Chris came home from the grocery one time. I am sobbing, and he drops the groceries. He runs to me. What's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, I watched The Fly, and he's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why did you watch The Fly?
We've discussed this.
And it's like, I know it's coming, and I know I should turn it off, but I just don't. I don't know what's the matter with me. So anyway, but yes, he has the same black suit for 5 days a week, which makes perfect sense because, as we've seen in this version of the FBI, that's all they wear. The only one who changes their clothes is Denise Bryson.
This is true. That's a good observation, apparently.
Even Tammy wears black suits.
Yeah, and Gordon wears black suits, so yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
so
maybe it's just like a Blue Rose thing. Maybe they just
maybe that's the Blue Rose. If you want to be cool,
like they're the cool kids. They wear the black
cool
suits.
Kids, Blue Rose. Oh, it's just Blue Rose guys. They think they're better than us.
But I can picture Philip Jeffries was the complete opposite because if you saw what he was wearing,
that's true.
When he came in, in the Philadelphia office,
his little white Panama suit.
Exactly. So he was probably completely contrary and. Yeah.
We're not going to talk about Judy.
We're not going to talk about Judy, but apparently we're going to talk about his Panama.
We
suit.
are. Yes. Yeah. We're going to talk about Bowie.
Yeah, we're going to talk about.
But so and I love Cooper because of how meticulous he is with everything, and I love how he's giving her, the price of his suits, and
right.
So basically,
he's big on the minutia of everything.
Yes, he's very big on the minutia, and that is part of his charm and part of his talent. That's why he is able to do things like, okay, Diane, I see that your desk is in the same spot and that clock is 6 inches to the left. I mean, he's able to do that kind of thing because he's able to notice minutia, and that's what makes him such a good investigator.
It's almost like a Rain Man type thing, though.
It's
a certain type of autism, maybe.
Possibly, or whatever that would be on the Myers-Briggs.
Right.
That would be the attention to detail rather than the big picture kind of a person.
Yeah, right.
So, but that makes Cooper good at what makes him being Cooper. So, but yeah, Cooper buys this tape recorder in preparation for his trip to Washington to investigate this new murder.
Yeah.
That he's telling Diane he was pretty sure the Teresa Banks had all the markings of a serial killer except for one important thing, a second body. And here we now have a second body.
Exactly. So he gets on a flight, and that's where we find out in the next segment. He's like, boards Flight 210, commuter flight, 15-seater.
Mm-hmm. Tiny little plane.
Arriving at
puddle jumpers.
Exactly. And I've flown on them, and
yeah, it's not fun.
No. Especially not coming back from the Bahamas.
Oh, I remember when Charles came back from the Bahamas, he was on the airplane, and he wrote on Facebook that he was currently writing a jet car over the Bermuda Triangle, like he was Flash Gordon.
Yeah, pretty much. It was pretty bad because I would not recommend. Well, for one thing, like the cabin pressure and all that went kablooey, and yes, that was a fun trip. But
I think I just wrote on your Facebook status. I just wrote impetuous boy.
That's funny. So yeah, so he gets
rocket cycle, not jet car. It's a rocket cycle. I'm sorry, I'm getting my Buckaroo Banzai mixed up. I have a fever.
The jet car.
Somebody,
yep.
Forgive me for my fever brain that's mush. Apparently.
Give me fever.
Yeah, in the morning. I saw Krabappel's butt. I paid anyway.
See, there's the Simpsons quote.
There's your Simpsons quotes. If this is a drinking game, take your first shot, my friends.
Pretty nice.
Anyway, so yeah, there's this commuter flight has a little bit of turbulence, and Cooper starts to dictate his will to. Diane.
I think that's a different flight. Is
that a different flight? I thought it was this one.
No,
it's this one because then he gets off the plane. And
you're right. You're right because this is where later he goes back on solid ground and he kisses the pavement. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
No, I'm fine. Just happy to be alive.
Yeah. This flight while he's on there, before he gets on, this is where he does that. What airlines do to coffee shouldn't happen to a dog.
Shouldn't happen to a dog. Yeah.
So I'm packing a hot thermos from the commissary, and this is where he's talking about. He talks about. Laura, finding homecoming queen, and let's see, and he talks about the Teresa Banks like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you it's just this horrible flight. You hear like a bunch of lightning, and while he's airborne, he's dictating,
right?
And just talking about he was happy that he. Was glad that he, I guess, passed on a bunch of the menu.
Oh, yeah, he dozed through breakfast,
right.
And he woke up and he saw the remnants of the man next to him's plate, and he realized that he had made the right choice.
Yeah.
Except they served sausage instead of bacon, so his prediction was not quite perfect.
Then we talk about, or he talks about this incredible maelstrom. And you will find instructions for the disposition of my worldly goods and remains, should there be any, filed under things to come.
Yeah. Filed under things to come.
Yeah.
That is
because of course he's got a folder or whatever that says things to come.
Which honestly is like a very Dwight Schrute kind of a plan, Right. Dwight Schrute or Ron Swanson. What is this? The man or beast that killed me will understand.
Nice.
So he finally gets on solid ground, kisses the solid ground, leaving some people a little concerned about his sanity.
And then he's all excited that he might have to look out for deer on the highway.
Which I thought was hilarious because he grew up in suburban Pennsylvania.
Yeah, as we know. And my husband, Chris, grew up in Virginia. Okay.
Outside of D.C. So And I said to him, did you not have deer? He's like, yeah, we did. Like, so I'm not sure what kind of sheltered existence Cooper has been living since he's been with the Bureau, but deer shouldn't be that new to him personally.
I wouldn't
But
think, but
it's still adorable.
yeah. We don't know. We don't know what part of town he was living in.
That's true, and maybe he didn't do a lot of road trips, to the
Right.
to the outer lying parts of the city. There's barely any living wildlife in Washington D.C. It's disgusting there.
Yeah.
So I can see him being excited about things like trees that smell nice.
It didn't seem like he was very outdoorsy until he got to. He was a Boy Scout.
Hey, well, if you went camping with your neighbors and what happened to you during the fireworks, you might not be all that outdoorsy either.
No, I would say not. No, not after that traumatic experience.
Yeah, that's a bit much for anybody. Yeah. BJ or no BJ, that's just traumatic experience.
Yeah, just if you missed that's what we were talking about with the My Life, My Tapes autobiography. Mm-hmm. So that's worth a listen if you missed that. Next segment we get is the recorded bit from the TV series and from the pilot, where he's entering Twin Peaks for the first time. So you get the Diane, 11:30 a.m. February 24th, entering the town of Twin Peaks. Yada yada.
Lunch was $6.31 at the Lamplighter Inn.
Yes.
And
that's on Highway 2 near Lewis Fork.
If you're ever up this way, that cherry pie is worth a stop.
Yep.
And that was an interesting thing that I wanted to mention on this. And I think even at the time,
yes,
that this was recorded, that was sort of a dying concept. The roadside, independently owned restaurant / diner.
Right.
I mean, now so often when you're on a road trip, if you're trying to do any sort of good time and you're on the major highways that are 65, 70 miles an hour, you don't see these places. You drive past the food and it's a Denny's or a McDonald's or something like that. But
no, my parents used to own one. It was a 24-hour restaurant.
That's amazing.
Right off of the interstate. So
awesome.
that was my childhood growing up.
See, so your childhood was basically, where Teresa Banks worked. Just coffee.
It was a little nicer. It was a little nicer than a diner, but it was an actual like a family restaurant. But still.
Oh, okay. What was it called?
It was called Harold's Family Restaurant in Medina, Ohio.
That's awesome. Yep. I'm sure my parents have eaten.
It's a very, very small town.
Love it.
Right off of 71. So.
And so, yeah, that's the thing. It's like you don't see that as much anymore, and that stuff is still there if you look for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to look. You have to there are books. There are books that are, Eat Your Way Across the USA and Road Food and things like that that'll tell you these lesser known roadside restaurants that will be much more fun and much more interesting and much better food than just your average, like McDonald's or truck stop or whatever. So right. I miss those being more prominent.
Yeah, and I know that if we, like here in Ohio, if we go down to what's called Hocking Hills.
Hocking Hills, yeah.
You head down that way. You can run into some nice restaurants.
Yeah.
So
you can. And then if you're out, it also here in Central Ohio for sure, which is, mostly where I know a lot of this stuff is. And my parents are also very road trip kind of people. My parents, when they first got married, took a motorcycle to Hawaii. So from Newark, Ohio to Hawaii.
Okay. So crossing the Pacific must have been really interesting on the motorcycle, but
it takes a lot of legwork. Yeah. I want to say either
like kind of like the Flash kind of legwork, I would think.
Exactly. Yeah. Or Dash from The Incredibles.
Yes. There you go.
I want to say that they went to San Francisco and then shipped the bike to Hawaii, and then they flew the rest of the way. But so basically, from Ohio to California, they did a road trip, and that's all they did was those little motels and little restaurants like that. And here in Central Ohio and throughout Ohio, Route 40 still has a lot of that stuff. Like there's a restaurant that my parents went to the first day of their road trip is still here.
Okay.
I believe it's called Howard's. out on Route 40 West,
Okay.
like out in West Jefferson area, stuff like that. So you can still find it, but you got to be on the 55 mile an hour part of the highway rather than the 70 mile an hour. There's nothing here.
Right.
Or you have to, have a GPS or a book that tells you, okay, you got to get off here, and then you got to go to the old part of the highway, and then do this. So I miss places like that.
I do too, because
had some good chili and some good pie.
And it's worth a stop. Come on.
It is. If you're ever up that way, it's certainly worth a stop. That's Tweed's Diner for damn sure is worth a stop. That's some good food up there.
Yeah, you've been there, and I'm so jealous that you were.
I had lunch and then I had dinner the next day. It was delicious.
All right. So next segment we get is a really quick one where Cooper's entering Calhoun Memorial Hospital to meet with Harry. And then we get the TV segment where he's at the Twin Peaks County morgue, where the body of the victim, what's her name? Laura Palmer. Yes. Which is kind of interesting because Cooper's normally a meticulous guy. You wouldn't think he would be reminded of that, but
I think he's so excited about the fact that he found the letter under the finger
yeah.
that's all that's in his brain.
Got it.
And this is the take this to Albert and his team. Don't go to Sam.
Yeah.
This is that moment.
And he's all geeking out that it's an R.
Yes.
That he finds under the fingernail.
I think he's just so excited about what he's found under the fingernail. And not excited like, oh yay, but more like, I knew it. I mean, that sort of a feeling. I think he's got that sort of feeling, and that's why he's.
Yeah, and Harry's just looking at Cooper like, okay, you want to let me in on
whatever
the hell
is going on
here? And then we've got Xan's favorite line.
Sheriff, we got a lot to talk about. I do like that. But,
it's a great line. I don't blame you for that because that's a great line.
Yeah, that's a great one.
All right, and then we get the classic exchange after that. Where they're going through Laura Palmer's diary.
Yes, and if you take this envelope and test it, my money is it'll test positive for cocaine. Well, that's impossible. You didn't know Laura Palmer. Why don't you test this envelope and we'll see? Maybe we'll both learn a few things about Laura Palmer.
Yep.
And as we found out, nobody knew Laura Palmer.
Pretty much, although
nobody.
Obviously, Cooper, being more suspicious, was obviously more on the money than Harry was. Harry just wanted to believe the facade that Laura threw up for everybody, put up for
everybody. I think that, which is so funny because Harry should know better.
You would think, being a cop,
especially being with Josie, he should know better.
Well, remember, Harry has this tendency, especially when women are around, apparently, to kind of just, he wants to believe, that there's nothing wrong. Like he just, he believes what he's told. He doesn't doesn't question. And
he wants the nice things to be the true things.
Right, exactly. He wants to believe the best in people. And with Laura, he figured, well, homecoming queen, everybody loved her. That it's impossible. It could never happen. And Cooper's like, you ever been surprised before?
You ever been surprised before? Yeah.
So
exactly, and of course, then this has the Diane, I hold in my hands a small box of chocolate bunnies.
Another classic line.
Which I think is funny because
is it about the bunny?
It's not about the bunny.
Is it about the bunny?
Is it about the bunny? No, it's not about the bunny.
It's about
because
the bunny.
Chocolate, which I love.
Yes.
What I always thought was funny about this tape in particular is that we cut to another scene, and that's why we never heard the rest of the chocolate bunny thing. But here it's like, okay, and what else you got? It's like this is such a non sequitur to have it just stop right there that you're like, all right, Cooper, give me something to go on here. What else? What else you got for me? With
that is one of the letdowns about this release is that because we didn't get the full scene, it would have been nice if we've got like an extended scene here.
That would have been really cool. That if you would have heard more about what was, and it's not even all that much going on because we know that this is not the real diary because Harold has the real diary. Harold, by the way, I still contend knows Laura better than anybody.
Yeah. But presumably, though, if this is a recording, you would think in this particular scene where he starts off saying, "Diane, I'm holding my hand a small box of chocolate bunnies," and where's the rest of it? Where's the rest? I always wanted there to be more. Was this redacted somehow? What's up with that?
Why were the chocolate bunnies redacted? Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. But
No,
yeah, it's kind of bizarre. It's kind of bizarre.
there's some serious chocolate bunnies.
I'm
All right.
serious chocolate. So then we go on
Yep.
reading diary, and we go to probably my favorite line of Laura's. I know it's not spoken by Cheryl Lee, but my favorite line of Laura's: asparagus for dinner tonight. I hate asparagus. Does this mean I'll never grow up? I just think that is so astute of
Right.
Laura, and I think it's such a
It's a very young teenage girl kind of comment.
it's a very teenage girl kind of comment, but it's also what's wrong with me? You know, why to quote a a modern day poet,
Yes.
have a baby's brain and an old man's heart. That is, by the way, Alice Cooper,
Nice.
Vincent Furnier, one of my favorites. That when you're a teenager and you have this grown-up body and these grown-up expectations, but still think you still don't like vegetables, stuff like that. You're like, when am I ever going to feel like I'm an adult? That kind of a question that all teenagers have,
Right.
and
Especially when you're that age and you're trying to
yeah,
make everybody think that you are an adult.
exactly. And Laura, especially with the prostitution and the cocaine and
Right.
being way in over her head, but she's still
Thinking she's far more grown up than she is apparently, or is being treated at least.
exactly, or that she's ready for.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think she's trying to do everything she can
Right.
to escape feeling what Bob makes her feel.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you, kids. In about a month and 10 days. What's the date today? A month and 11
Today
days.
is the 8th of March, 2018.
I am going to be 42 years old, and I'm going to tell you right now.
But that's the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything.
Yes, I will be the answer to all of your questions. I
Z-
will be the meaning of life.
Xan is the answer.
I am the meaning of life, and so but I'm here to tell you, I still don't feel like a grown up. There are still some days where I look around my house and I think, oh yeah, I own this. It's not. I don't just live here with family. Like,
Yep.
I think I've said this before that sometimes you have these moments in your marriage where it's just really exciting to be up late on a Friday eating pizza with boys. Like,
Right.
you never ever ever actually feel like an adult. I mean, you feel like you can suck it up and be one when you have to,
Right.
but that's about it.
Well,
Well, now, when you're around other young people, sometimes you feel like an adult because you feel like a freaking stick in the mud. Sometimes you're like, I just want to go to bed at 10 o'clock, and I really don't understand why you guys like this music.
yeah. My whole attitude with that is a classic Tom Baker quote from Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of being grown up if you can act childish sometimes?
That's exactly right. The best thing about being an adult is that you can act like a child whenever you want to,
Right. Right.
and that you have a job and you can buy your own toys now.
Exactly. So you can buy all those Pez and
Yeah, you can.
all those Funko figures and
All those Funko figures
yep,
and
whatnot.
DVDs and all that fun stuff.
Exactly. And
You don't have to rent to own your cassette deck. Yeah,
or
don't do
get MP3s off of the Internet Archive, but
rent to own, kids, is the last resort you should use. Okay, absolute last. Beg,
right,
borrow, or steal before you do that.
right. It's basically like going to a payday lender.
I watched an episode of Judge Judy one time, and somebody was suing for the balance due on a PlayStation 3, and it was a rent to own thing. And by the time that this court case had gone to court, she owed $1,000 on that PlayStation 3.
Jeez.
PlayStation 3 costs like
Yep.
$300-$400 maximum.
Right. You're better off
So,
just like saving up, getting
yes,
it. Patience is your friend.
exactly.
All right. So
And I have a quick question about this.
yes.
And it's because I haven't really thought about this in a while, but there's an entry in this diary that says, nervous about meeting Jay tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's the letter J, Diane. Did we ever determine if she's nervous about meeting James, or is she nervous about going out with Jacques? Did they ever determine that? Because we find out.
I don't think she would get nervous about meeting Jacques.
But see, I was wondering about that, because if she was nervous about doing that, because I don't think she was into it. Her, like, for lack of a better term, her heart wasn't into it that night.
Right.
But she would have mentioned probably nervous about meeting J and L tonight is probably what she would have said.
Yes. Yeah, you're probably right. But Unless she was referring to Leo Johnson as Jay, but
Yeah, I don't know. And it's weird because she's only with James for so small of a period of time.
right.
So I don't know. That's a good question. Oh, a reason to rewatch the series. What a shame.
Gee darn. How could we not have like an excuse to watch the series again? That
I
would be,
know, right?
and it's crazy.
Perfectly
All
fine.
right. So after this we get a follow up later that night where this is a brand new scene where um, Dale is outside looking up at the stars. He says the night is painted with stars.
I can actually see the Milky Way,
Right.
which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because
Well, maybe
we
if he's
live in
just
the Milky Way, so if you're looking at the sky, you're technically looking at the Milky Way.
well, he's a city boy, so maybe he's not used
I
to
just think it's cute. I just think it's cute
Yeah.
because I mean, like right now, I'm looking at my backyard at the sky. Boom! Technically, that's the Milky Way because that's where I am.
Yeah. I like this one line where he says, "Have a list of people I'm going to want to run some background checks on, including a lady who carries a log." They call her the log lady.
The log lady. Background checks, just all they do is reveal sad history. Poor log lady.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Cooper is apparently really big into the background checks because later in this thing he tells Diane to run a background check on Josie Packard.
And that does not end well for anybody.
No, it doesn't.
Well, and what I think is funny is, I mean, wouldn't you? I mean,
well, yeah, if you were suspicious and not, Lord knows Josie's just a wee bit shady.
Well, and the thing is, if you can just run background checks on people, wouldn't you just do it? Am I just the only person here that just is not being murdered by curiosity constantly?
Well, I don't think Cooper doesn't strike me as a paranoid person, but he's just, he's obviously
he doesn't like to be taken by surprise.
A member of the bureau, he's suspicious when it's called upon.
He's suspicious when it's called upon, and I think he likes to know everything he possibly can. He doesn't like to. He doesn't like to be surprised by somebody's skeletons in their closet.
No.
And I think that's what's going on. But it's like, think about it. Like if you worked at Dairy Queen, and you could eat all the ice cream you wanted,
right?
You would do it. Same way, like if you worked at the FBI and you could just type in a name and do a background check, wouldn't you just do it? It just seems like okay, that guy's weird. Is he like cute weird or like he's gonna murder somebody weird? Let's find out. Oh no, he's just kind of eccentric weird. He's fine. Just
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he just has a really creepy obsession with clown porn or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it just stays on the computer, that's fine.
Right.
He's allowed to come and shop for groceries. Otherwise, we got to find out. We got to do a little research.
Exactly. So let's see what else. He makes a comment here that serial killers don't kill their girlfriends.
I love this because this is true.
So right away he's dismissing James. He's not suspicious of James.
Is it James or is it Bobby that he's dismissing? I thought it was Bobby that he's dismissing.
Well, you dismiss this is I think is what he's talking about because he knows that with James being Laura's boyfriend, that
I guess that's true.
So he's kind of like writing him off because serial killers don't.
Works for both of them, and because even when he was doing his interview with Bobby, as we saw on the show, and he writes on the little PDA assistant that he did not do it. Yeah. So serial killers rarely kill their girlfriends.
Yeah.
Their girlfriends are usually in on it, or their wives are in on it, or they're completely unaware of what's going on.
Right. Like as far as like a multiple personality type thing, maybe.
With that, or even with, I'm a little disturbed about how many cases I can think of. They're either in on it.
What does it say about you, Xan?
It says that I watch a lot of ID television. That's what it says.
Apparently, we need to run a background check on you.
We need to run a background check, and you will just see that I watch a lot of files.
I'm kind of the same way. Like I'm the guy with Silence of the Lambs, Seven, Zodiac.
Exactly.
I'm watching Mindhunter. So yeah.
It's like people who there are people who are serial killers because they pretty much kill every wife they have.
Right.
Or they or somebody like John List who just killed his entire family. But they don't usually have a girlfriend and be a serial killer and kill the girlfriend. Usually the girlfriend is like the last to know. So that's actually a fairly true statement.
Yep. So we get a next segment. We get Cooper's checking in. Like he got a reference from Harry about the place called the Great Northern Hotel. The sheriff's getting me a rate.
Sheriff's getting me a rate. Yep.
And sounds like the kind of place that when you lie down, you won't forget to dream.
Yes, you won't forget to dream, which is room 315.
Yep, room 315.
And no tobacco smell and nice hot water, good water pressure, probably a nice side effect of the waterfall outside my window.
Yep. Now he tells Lucy good night, and this is where we get Kimmy Robertson in an uncredited cameo, so this was a nice surprise.
But not too far.
Yeah, exactly. So she's like, good night, Agent Cooper.
Lucy's the best.
And that sing-song voice of hers.
I just love it.
Yep.
And then
it's, the Great Northern is up on Meadowlark Hill. That's just below Whitetail Mountain. That's a little bit west of here, but not too far.
West. Which is great. So, yeah, he's very interested in the fact that the Great Northern is and the Great Northern is right off of the highway.
Right.
But it is kind of backed up to some woods and, little river area. And he's very enthralled by the wildlife, including the geese.
Yes.
That he goes looking at 6 a.m. And then all of a sudden, Diane, I think I've been spotted. Like he's just like out looking.
That was great. So yeah,
that was the best.
We're kind of jumping ahead, but yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, I love it.
So let's see here. We get the more stuff from the TV series where like he's talking about his room. Like mattress firm, but not too firm.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't tried the television set yet. Looks like cable. Probably no reception problems.
Yes.
So right there, he's essentially like, what's it? Like he's like a reviewer. I forget the online. That.
Like his TripAdvisor. He's the MT Wentz of hotels.
Pretty much, because he just scrutinizes the hell out of this, which is pretty funny. Yeah, he should have been like a hotel critic.
Totally dates the show too with the whole probably cable, no reception problems. Like that's even a thing anymore.
Yep.
Like there's even a thing as antenna television anymore.
Yeah. Now, the next segment again is also from the television series that where he's basically lamenting, like maybe just. All of a sudden, a stray random thought pops into his head. Like, what happened, or what really went on between Marilyn Monroe and the Kennedys, and who really pulled the trigger on JFK? Yeah. So he gets all Oliver Stone there for a minute.
I love that. That cracks me up. He's just I love that. That's what Cooper thinks of in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Is the Warren Commission and the conspiracy theory against the Kennedy assassination.
Somehow he's just like, okay, I'm. Like I know I've got this big murder case and everything, but hey, I'm just going to try and go ahead and solve the JFK assassination while I'm at it, as a hobby.
Like you do.
Yeah, like you do, exactly. Next segment, he talks about that we've just released James Hurley into the custody of his uncle, Big Ed Hurley, owner of Big Ed's Gas Farm, and talks about the Norwegians checking out of the hotel.
The Norwegians are leaving.
And Audrey's giggling in the corner.
Yes, she is.
To herself, all proud of herself. This is either a strange example of the herding instinct exhibited by animals like the common lemming of their native tundra, or something scared them off.
Something scared them off, young pretty girl.
Yeah, exactly. Are you okay, little pretty girl?
Is something wrong, young pretty girl?
That's it. Very nice. This is why you're the quote machine. Perfect.
That's what I do.
That's what you do. Next segment is new as well, where Cooper is standing on the spot where Laura Palmer's body washed ashore.
Oh, yes. Where Pete found her.
Yes,
dead,
exactly. by that big rock. Yeah, she's dead, wrapped in plastic.
Get Harry on the horn.
The lonesome foghorn tolls. So Sheriff Truman introduces him to Josie Packard, who he refers to as a visitor from the Far East and a woman of uncommon beauty.
Uncommon beauty. This is true. How long have you been in love with Josie? Cooper doesn't miss a beat.
Nope. Is it that obvious? Pretty much. And then, of course, a little lament after there's a fish in the percolator.
Diane, never, ever touch coffee that has been anywhere near a fish.
Exactly.
Which was funny because I was listening to this and Chris walked in and he was like, what in the hell? So when
it's probably just such a non sequitur.
When it's not in context, that makes absolutely zero sense. Zero sense.
And you're just looking at him going, come on, don't you know? Come on. That's a big thing.
He knows. He just didn't know that that's what I was listening to. Yeah. So he's like, what is this?
Yeah.
But what else? What else has fish in the coffee? Where else has fish ever been in the percolator? Nope. That's what Twin Peaks gives to the world.
That's what it brought to the table. Is like no other show would dare to have fish in the percolator. So, but Twin Peaks did.
Twin Peaks did. That's right, and that's why David Lynch is the master that we all know.
Nothing can ever take that away.
Nope.
Cooper makes a recording, which essentially is like he's repeating himself from the television series because obviously he wasn't recording when he said it originally. So he repeats it again to Diane saying, Diane, 7 p.m., the Double R Diner, this must be where pies go when they die. Yes.
And yet, after another slice of this heavenly pie.
Yep. And he talks about taking the gang, like the Scooby Gang, on a rock-throwing trip to Tibet. But first, another piece of this heavenly pie.
Heavenly pie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next segment is also new, where he's in room 315 of the Great Northern, lamenting or like ruminating on events converge, the theory of concentric thinking. There may be, in fact, no such thing as coincidence. And talking about Deputy Hawk seeing a one-armed man outside of intensive care and getting a note, 5x7 envelope, cream-colored, and scented with an expensively priced perfume that says Jack with one eye.
Jack with one eye.
As we know, that's from a certain Audrey Horne.
And I love that on this cassette tape, he makes a note of telling Diane that she's 18, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like Diane, I'm not going to do anything. I just want you to know she's 18 years old. She turned 18 in February.
Diane, in case the issue of statutory rape should come up,
please understand right now that Audrey Horne is 18 years old.
I just want to put that on the record.
I just want that recorded somewhere for posterity. So
even though it's a little odd that, like she's already 18 and still a senior in high school, but hey.
And there were a lot of people who are like that. It depends on when your birthday was.
I know. And if you started school later.
Like some of those late birthdays turned 18.
Right.
In high school. And I was 18 and in high school.
Oh, you were? See, I was 17 in my senior
For
year.
a couple of months. I turned 18 in April and I graduated the end of May, beginning of June. So I had a couple of...
I was one of those that went early, so yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
But
some people turn 6
right
in kindergarten and some people are 6 in kindergarten.
Exactly.
But Chris was 17 the whole time too because his birthday's in July.
Oh, that makes sense. See, I was born in June, so.
Yeah, so you would have just missed it. Yeah, if your birthday is February,
it's that nebulous time where you're like, okay, do we send him off to school this year or hold him another year? So,
yeah, it depends on the kid and the school system and how they test and how the system works and stuff like that. So
exactly.
It's not that unheard of to be 18 and still in high school. Like I said, I was 18 for like a month and a half in high school. So
next segment
for me, Cooper.
Next segment is the Canadian geese that you talked about.
I think I've been spotted.
Yep. Like he's doing this big stealth, like he doesn't want to be noticed, and then all of a sudden, I think I've been spotted.
And here's the thing about geese.
Yep.
They're dicks sometimes.
Pretty much. Yeah, we have Canadian geese here in Columbus, and they're essentially like, pests almost because they're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and they are very territorial, and they can be not nice if they happen to be territorial in, like, I don't know, the parking lot of your business.
Yeah.
I used to work for Barnes & Noble up on Sawmill Road, and we would come in the mornings before the store opened. We'd have to knock on the door. Someone would let us in. I swear to God, I get there one morning. There is like this freaking arena episode of Star Trek with geese going on in the parking lot. There's a circle of geese and two geese in the middle. It's like
two geese enter, one goose leaves.
One goose comes out, yeah, and they are ready to throw down with each other. It's going to be some sort of seriously. It's like there's a circle and they're watching these two geese just throw, and I'm like, let me in! I'm going to die. It was terrifying.
It's Mad Geese Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh, it was Thunderdome. It was Beyond Thunderdome Geese. It was horrible. It was like the Warriors in geese format.
Geese come out and play.
Oh my God!
Click the bottles.
I have never feared for my life at a job except for that one moment right there.
That's funny. That's hilarious. Next segment. Cooper turns in after a long day. Albert Rosenfeld, or he pronounces it here, Albert Rosenfield, has arrived and with his usual charm has completely won over the local population.
At least he doesn't call him Rosenflower.
Yeah. As Sherman did in Atlanta. So that says a lot right there.
It goes about as well. And
look it up, kids. It's history.
He's trying to tell Diane, he's gonna be, brought up on some charges.
Yeah. And I like the line here where he's yawning. And he says, "Diane, the air here is as fresh and crisp as a cracker."
Crisp as a cracker.
Yep.
Some Douglas
you
Stern.
You don't sleep. You slumber.
Slumber.
Yep. So I like that. Next segment, he's back at the morgue. Upon completion of Laura's autopsy, Sheriff Truman and Albert have entered into a heated discussion, as we know from the TV series. So, let
me make this perfectly clear. You can have a funeral any old time. You dig a hole, you plant a coffin. I, however, cannot perform these tests next year, next month, next week, or tomorrow. I must perform them now. So if you don't mind, gentlemen, if you would return to your porch rockers and resume whittling.
Nice.
I have a lot of cutting and pasting to do.
Nice.
You can have a funeral any old time. You dig a hole, you plant a coffin.
Nice.
I love his. He is the Sultan of sentiment.
And he tells Diane, "Let's face the music. Albert Rosenfield has not changed.
Never will.
Never will." He says, "You better prepare the appropriate paperwork for action unbecoming a field officer." And as I suspect, Albert will attempt to file charges against Sheriff Truman, and I intend to defend Harry to the utmost of my ability.
Oh, Albert.
Yeah. So already he's looking out for Sheriff Truman because he just knows Albert.
I choose to live my life by the teachings of Gandhi and King.
I love you, Sheriff Truman.
I love you, Sheriff Truman. The foundation for such a belief is love.
Is love. Yep.
Love Sheriff Truman.
That's great. So yeah, obviously he knows Albert's a dick, but he's like, okay, I got to look out for Harry here because Albert is just going to steamroll Harry.
And he tells Albert, he's like, I really didn't see anything happen that you didn't completely deserve.
Right. Yeah, Albert was all ready to be all pissed off, and Cooper's just like, look, princess, this is how it is.
Seriously, they're about to bury the freaking homecoming queen.
Yeah.
And you're being a jerk.
Yeah,
so,
pretty much.
Yeah. So anyway.
But yet still better than Sam. Which doesn't say a lot for Sam, does it?
Well, Sam, if you want to know the cost of an office, Sam's your guy.
That's true.
But when it comes to forensic autopsies, you probably want Albert on your team.
Sam has a little bit limited repertoire.
I think Sam's still a little bit green,
Yeah, I'd say so.
He's got some time. And again,
Albert is more of a big picture guy.
The only reason we know that Sam is not lost in the spheres with Chet Desmond is because of Cooper saying, "Take this to Albert and his team. Don't go to Sam." Right. I still don't know what happened to Sam. I know he came back from Washington, but that's all I know.
There's a story in there, I'm telling you.
Mark Frost.
Like Chet Desmond and Sam, what happened? What happened to our original Blue Rose Task Force team?
Seriously. Again, for those of you who think I'm just doing a non sequitur quote with my Warriors quote, That quote was said by David Patrick Kelly. So that is still Twin Peaks related. Thank you very much.
Very nice. Well played.
I can bring it back full circle.
You did it excellently.
Thank you.
Que bella. All right. So next segment is Albert and his team are headed back to the lab. Doc Hayward talks about Doc Hayward, says the swelling around Albert's eye will go down in a couple of days. As for the rest of Albert, he sees no chance for recovery.
What he has, you can't fix.
Exactly. And then he runs down the preliminary test results about, testing positive for cocaine and the wounds about being a bird, which we heard on the show. Next
the
segment.
Bird ruins the contents of her stomach with the chip. And
exactly.
Bite the bullet.
So yeah, a lot of these segments are just kind of regurgitating what we saw on the TV show, just from Cooper's perspective.
But that's fine because they are the tapes of Agent Cooper,
right?
And that's what's going on.
Which makes sense. And it kind of gives you a little insight into like what he was thinking, maybe, because he makes the occasional observation about it.
Right.
Next segment, where he's at Black Lake Cemetery, a new day for all but the dead.
Yep.
And then he apologizes because of owl hoots in the background. Only Cooper. So awesome. Sorry, folks.
Sorry about that.
Sorry for that act of nature that I have absolutely no control over whatsoever.
Yep. Sorry for the fact that nature. Yeah, that's apparently he's enough of a flea slicker that he's not used to seeing deer all the time.
Right.
So we live fairly close to a major metropolitan area, and I see deer in my freaking backyard.
I know.
So
okay. So here's where he learns about the Bookhouse Boys.
Yes, the secret societies and all of history.
Yeah.
This is clearly a place
often
that inspires
cloaked in secrecy
dreams.
to protect and preserve certain elements within their social structure. Ooh.
Yep. Clearly, this is a place that inspires dreams about darkness and light, and who knows what dreams are real.
Right. So again, early, we didn't really make the connection, but a lot of, okay, who is the dreamer and who's dreaming it? Yeah.
Is it future or past?
Is it future or is it past? Yes. And then he makes a comment, Deputy Hawk spoke tonight of a soul that wanders, a dream soul, a Blackfoot legend. Yep. So
the evil in these woods.
Exactly. So, and he's hoping that Laura's spirit finds more peace than it did in its brief time on this earth.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't, because this is Twin Peaks,
so
you
sad.
fool. No peace for anybody on Twin Peaks, except for maybe Big Ed and Norma finally.
And the angels won't save you.
And it had to take 25 years to get it, but
Oh my God! At least it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
They knew we were going to riot. You know those T-shirts that you see at conventions that says
Daryl, right?
Daryl dies,
we riot. Yes, my wife has one.
Yeah, exactly. We needed a T-shirt that says "If Norma and Ed don't get married, we riot."
Pretty much. But thankfully, Otis Redding came along, and all was right with the universe.
Thank you very much for that, Mark Frost. I appreciate your knowing when to do the right thing.
Pretty much. At least somebody got a happy ending on that show.
Yeah, seriously.
Right. He wakes up after sleeping badly the night before, something he didn't think was possible in Twin Peaks.
Send me those earplugs that you sent me from my trip to New York City.
Right.
What a nightmare that was.
Yep. So he talks about he discovered this source of the perfume note. Of course, it's Audrey. She wants to play detective. Let me rephrase that.
She wants to help the investigation.
Phrasing? Yeah,
are we still doing phrasing, or you know where Audrey is, right? You know where she is.
Phrasing.
you know where Audrey is right now?
Where?
Danger zone.
Danger zone. Yes, very nice. That's excellent. It talks about it's like I'm sure it's all a young girl's romantic fantasy to her. She's 18, by the way. This is where he's like, It's not statutory rape, honest.
Not saying I'd do anything. I'm just saying if I did, It would be legal, if not inappropriate.
I would just like to disqualify this in case this kind of comes up.
And even in question per se, Your Honor.
Jerks his tie nervously like Rodney Dangerfield. Talks about Audrey. She clearly doesn't understand the dangers involved, both physical and emotional.
And as we find out, she really has no idea what she's getting into.
Pretty much. Next segment.
Happy.
Next segment is also new, where he's in the motel room of Philip M. Gerard, the one-armed man. Talks about a traveling salesman and shoes and all that. And talks about Mike. So we get the reference to that whole Mike and Bob scene that was in Cooper's dream in episode 3.
Right, that was part of the European film.
Right.
European 2-hour movie.
And talks about Mr. Gerard having a friend named Bob Lydecker, a veterinarian who works above a convenience store.
And that's where they figure they'll probably find records for Waldo the Minor Bird.
Yeah, and he's currently a coma patient at Calhoun Memorial, which is why Philip Gerard is meeting him.
That's why he's there.
Or visiting him, rather.
Right, where we see the smiling bag.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, I thought it was interesting, we don't get... You'd think he'd be talking to Diane about the dream that he had.
He mentions the dream. He says, in my dream, blah, blah, blah. So it sounds like he's talked to her about that before, but we don't hear that in these tapes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, why wasn't he talking about the dream?
Redacted,
probably.
Was it redacted?
Redacted by Gordon Cole.
Redacted by Gordon Cole for national safety reasons.
Yeah, pretty much. Next sign, he gets back from the Lydecker clinic, and this is where he's talking about the encounter he has with a llama.
I'm gonna say this right now.
Mm-hmm.
In the original series, it's fabulous. It has a lot of good direction, a lot of good cinematography, but that is the single greatest shot in the entire series.
Where like
Cooper's just talking, and then the llama looks at him, and he looks right back at the llama, and he just goes right back into talking.
Right? Yeah,
was non-scripted. It just happened, and Kyle MacLachlan just went with it, and it is genius.
It's like MacLachlan and the llama just kind of like have this shared moment, the shared experience.
They have a shared moment. Yeah, they have a shared experience, and it's golden. It's gold.
They just connect. It was funny. Loved it. He says, while llama may produce some of the finest wools prized around the world, their breath, on the other hand, could only be prized somewhere in the far reaches of llama hell.
The hell.
Yeah.
Llama hell is just llamas spitting all the time. Just constant spitting.
Which is, of course, just right next to llama purgatory, but, you know.
Where is it in relation to robot hell, I wonder?
I think that's farther down the street.
Who would have thought that hell actually exists and it would be in New Jersey? Actually. We know all your sins, Bender. Sorry.
Little Futurama for you.
Little Futurama there. God rest in peace. SCA. That was when the Beastie Boys were on.
Oh, that's right.
The Beastie Boys did their guest shot on
right.
Futurama, which always made me laugh because Fry talks about how he's their biggest fan. He has all 5 of their records. And they're like, hey, wait a minute, that was back in the 21st century. We have 7 now. And what's funny is that at the time of MC's death, they had 8 records.
That's funny.
It's really not that far off. It was kind of sad.
Well, you know, hey, Simpsons can't be the only show that predicts the future.
That's very true. It's not just the Simpsons. It's actually Matt Groening.
Yeah,
that can predict.
Pretty much. We get some more information about Waldo the Minor Bird, owned by Jacques Renault, and the plastic fragment in Laura's stomach was a poker chip across the border. Yep. And so Jacques is a Canadian national known to have worked on and off at the casino. When all signs point to Rome, Diane, it's time to buy lira and go.
Buy lira and go, yes.
Yes.
Lira, for those of you kids who don't remember, was the currency of Italy before they joined the European Union.
Yes. What? Oh, yeah. Well, keep in mind, 1990, okay?
1990, long time ago. You get to learn some things with Twin Peaks.
Exactly. This is ancient history class.
This is a historical show. This is history.
Exactly.
This is practical applications of history lessons right here.
Exactly. Next segment, where they're at Jacques Renault's apartment, which I would not touch anything in.
Do not touch anything.
Not at least without rubber gloves on.
Like 2 pairs of gloves. Seriously, I want those little booties on my shoes.
Double layer that.
Yeah, double layer the gloves. I want those little booties on my shoes that they wear into crime scenes.
And like,
I want a mask.
Screw it. Just put on a full body condom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ew. God.
Yeah. Ugh. All
Jacques
right.
is so disgusting.
Yeah, pretty much. So he talks about Laura having sex with 3 men the night she died. Jacques Renault, obviously suspect number one. And talking about finding Leo Johnson's bloodstained shirt in the apartment, which we know was planted.
Because we know whose shirt that is, right?
Exactly.
We know that that is Leo Johnson's shirt.
Right.
And Shelley tried to hide it, but he found it and planted it over at Leo's. Not that he planted it over at Jacques, Leo planted it, but
Yeah.
And nothing against Walter Olkowitz, but he just does such a great job of making Jacques just a disgusting human being.
Pretty much. Yeah, and they basically kind of make the connection about like Jacques, and the movement of drugs across the border, and Laura having her cocaine habit. So
Yeah,
Cooper's connecting the dots. Yeah, exactly.
It's this light bulb moment of how it's actually
light bulb.
Yes.
Next segment is the infamous or famous scene on the show where Cooper gets woken up to the most god-awful racket, which you can probably hear over the sound of my voice. Can you hear that?
This is the Icelandic people.
Yeah, exactly.
That Jerry has brought back as as investors. And Diane, it just proves that when a traveler leaves his homes, he loses nearly 100% of his ability to control his surroundings.
Exactly, and this is where he asked Diane to overnight express to me those 2 pair of pillow silicone earplugs, which he used on his last trip to New York.
Yes.
Naturally, he didn't bring them with him on this trip because he didn't feel it was necessary. However,
but as you can see,
yep.
And he just holds the recorder up, and you hear more Icelandic folk singing. And I do not presume to speak Icelandic and sound like an idiot. So I'm just dying when I sing that song.
Next segment is new, where he's deep in the woods near the Pearl Lakes, which of course is where the log lady lived back then. The log lady directed them to a cabin further up the ridge. Of course, this is Jacques' cabin, where they find Waldo the minor bird and several bloodstains.
How many horrible things has the log lady seen walking to Jacques' cabin? How many poor, depressed teenage girls
or heard, because
oh God,
like she'll be trying to sleep and then stuff going on.
Some horrible. Jacques is disgusting.
God only knows. Maybe she's got a pair of ear pillow silicone earplugs.
I should hope so.
Yeah. They find the camera using the photographs found in Flesh World magazine, the broken poker chip that matches, of course, the chip chunk that was in Laura's stomach.
So it's all coming together here at Jacques' cabin.
Yep. And so they're going to put up an APB on Jacques and, of course, Leo Johnson. Cooper goes back to the Great Northern, finds Audrey Horne in his bed. So he admits this to Diane, which I think is kind of funny. Is like,
but he has already mentioned that she is 18.
I understand this, but he says, as a member of the Bureau, Diane, you're well aware of the difficult choices one is forced to make in the line of duty.
Mm-hmm.
I see how it is. Miss Horne is a young
girl. I am an investigator for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This is wrong, Audrey.
Miss Horne
the thing is she might be 18. He might be FBI.
Right.
She's still Sherilyn Fenn, one of the most beautiful women who has ever graced the face of the planet Earth.
Yep.
So, if you are a warm-blooded heterosexual male, the conflict within you has to be great.
Pretty
young
much.
Skywalker.
Audrey, pardon me while I go take a cold shower. Bye. Or maybe 2.
Or Brock Sampson. I gotta take care of something.
If you've watched The Venture Brothers, you know that imagery is just.
Dan just made a really dirty joke.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Oh my God, we need to watch Venture Brothers or Archer together. That would be hilarious. That'd be
anytime.
Hilarious. That'd be hilarious. Yeah. So let's see here. Miss Horne is a young beautiful and a vulnerable woman of 18 in need of friendship and understanding.
This is very true.
Now, here's where Cooper goes all 50s like you would kind of expect him to go. We ordered up a couple of malts and some fries from room service and chatted for over an hour.
Awesome.
So he did the right thing, Cooper.
He does do the right thing. He's Cooper.
And he tries to be her friend because...
And that's honestly what she needs. I mean, she's trying to, what she's seen is what works with people that deal with her father, what works with Laura. But she's beautiful and sexy, but that's not what she needs right now. She needs a friend. She needs someone to listen to, because not only does she have her father is a complete ass.
Right.
And her mother and her father are in constant conflict with each other. She also has a special needs brother who is older than her. So not only is she the second born child that's already, you're already coming into a family unit that's already existing.
Right.
But you're coming into a family unit where your older brother is never going to grow up and take care of you. You're going to take care of your older brother.
Right.
And so she's got, and she's the rich girl in town. So probably at school, everybody's like, oh, that Audrey Horne thinks she knows everything and she's got everything she wants. Her dad owns the entire town. So, and she's not nice. She's that type of kid that tries to get attention by acting out. So she's not nice. She's hard to be around.
Right.
She really needs a friend. And that's what Cooper does for her.
Yeah. And obviously, given Cooper's history with women, as we know from his autobiography, I can't see him being really eager to just, okay, that's it. Let's hit the sheets.
Right. Yeah. He's not. He's had reason for a pause.
He's probably just like, okay, let's slow this down a little.
Let's just start from the beginning here and just what happens.
I'll call room service. We'll just talk. It'll be good.
Not the 4th of July, is it?
Yeah.
Better not be the 4th of July. But no, it's a really good thing, and I always liked this scene because it says a lot of things about a lot of different types of people.
Right.
And it says something about young women who think what they want is sexual, but what they really want is an adult understanding relationship.
Yes.
And don't quite know how to articulate that. They just know that they're like, the one thing it seems like adults are doing that they're not is having sex with each other. So that's what they're doing.
Right.
And it also shows, like I said, that there are some people out there that look like everything's perfect for them, but it's not. You can be Audrey Horne and beautiful and rich and have a limo driver take you to school, but you're very, very lonely. And your family is in constant turmoil. You have, like I said, you have parents that hate each other and a very, very sweet, but very, very emotionally needy older brother. And he needs help. And that's where a lot of the resources go. And you don't need the help. So you kind of get lost in the shuffle sometimes. And then you have Cooper, who is not falling for the carnal nature of what could happen.
Right.
He does the right thing, and he listens to her, which is actually what he knows that what she actually needs is someone to listen to her.
Right. And he's the adult and actually acts like the adult.
Yes, exactly.
Which is good. Now, Audrey, you would think being rich, you would think she would be the one that turned to drugs.
No, but she doesn't.
She doesn't.
And even when she is forced into heroin, she doesn't come out of it a heroin addict.
Right.
She stays away from that kind of thing. And I also do like that Cooper admits, look, I'm not telling you I don't want to do this. I'm just telling you this is a bad idea. And I think that's also good too, because to try and act like you're perfect all the time is just a sure sign that you're just not. You're hiding something.
Right.
So
you're just putting up a front.
Yeah. I think this scene is wonderful. I think it's a really good character build for both of them. I think it's a really well written scene.
It was. Next scene where he's telling Diane that about Harry not just being infatuated with Josie Packard, he's fixated with her. And talks about there being a mysterious quality about her, an unsolved mystery. So, of course, Cooper wants to solve it. Yeah. But he says it's spelled Dangerer.
G-E-R. That is the understatement of the year, Cooper.
Danger zone.
Danger zone.
Yep.
Seriously.
And this is where he asked Diane to run a check on Josie.
Yeah.
Widow of Andrew, maiden name unknown. Chinese national immigrating here via Hong Kong 6 years ago.
Yep.
And he says he's fond of Harry, and that the thought that he may be over his head is troubling him.
Yes.
So.
And he's totally in over his head with this.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he also makes this like completely unrelated observation that within the confines of the station house, Lucy, the receptionist, is sending out signals that she is, 1, very upset with Deputy Andy Brennan, and 2, very pregnant.
Very pregnant.
Yes.
And it's either one Deputy Andy Brennan or Dick Tremaine from Men's Fashions at Horn's department store.
Yep, and as we know, she's going to pop out Wally Brando.
And she'll have that, and Andy will help her have that baby right there in front of God and everybody.
Nice.
Andy's so sweet.
Yeah, which is why Lucy made the wife's choice and went with Andy.
Duh. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. Because obviously Andy's going to be a lot more loyal to her than Dick would. So, next segment, Diane, what you were about to hear is deeply disturbing.
Deeply disturbing.
And this is where we hear the audio of Waldo, the minor bird, saying, Laura, don't go there.
But what we don't hear is, pretty bird, you want an orange? Come on, let's share.
Where was the Lucy
I don't know where that went. That was redacted, apparently.
It was redacted. Yeah, it's like, this is the major secret. Like, don't have Lucy in. Redact that.
When I was in college, my friend Troy and I used to make mixtapes for each other. And we would put audio sound bites from movies and television in between the songs as they fit.
Right.
And he put that line, what you're about to hear is deeply disturbing, before he put the audio from the trailer for Fire Walk with Me. So those always those have gone together in my brain forever.
And we know how you are about that trailer.
Don't even start with me. Yeah, that trailer is a powerful trailer. But so we hear what Waldo the minor bird has to say, and so sort of learn about what's going on there. And then Leo Johnson is a horrible, horrible person.
Yes,
we know this. He is a drug mule, teenage prostitute, using and selling, wife beater, total scum of the earth, human garbage kind of a guy.
Yes.
But you've got to be some shitheel to shoot Waldo the minor bird through the window of the police station. Well, that takes the cake, Leo Johnson.
Well, he was trying to cover up, the incrimination. So
he shot a pet bird.
He got rid of a witness.
Yeah, somebody's pet bird.
Yeah, it was.
Not cool.
And he got even worse. He got blood all over those donuts.
He ruined the donuts.
Ruined perfectly great donuts.
He's just there. I mean, there's nothing good about Leo Johnson.
No.
Not a damn thing.
Yep.
Who, by the way,
yes,
Charles and I found out this week, is the son of casting director Joanna Ray.
That blew my mind when you told me
I had
that.
no idea. I can't believe that I went 25 years not knowing that.
My brain went.
Joanna Ray's son.
My brain went explode.
My brain explode. Yeah, it was that. I knew there were a lot of familial connections in Twin Peaks, but that one, for some reason, that one never came up. I never found that one out.
Yep.
But yeah.
So again, hooray nepotism.
Well, I read this on one of the Facebook Twin Peaks groups where somebody was talking about how he was a bad actor, and I don't agree with that. I think he was a bad person.
I think he was a bad actor, in my opinion.
Well,
this is just my opinion. I think he was a bad actor.
He did a really good job at making me hate him, though. I mean, I was scared of him and I hated him. And I think part of what, and if it was a bad actor thing, and I think what works in that situation is that he was such a stupid guy to begin with.
Well, it suited his character.
It did.
So you could overlook him being a bad actor.
So when there were the scenes where he's like trying to shock Wyndham Earl, but he winds up shocking himself because he's like not Shelley, like that kind of thing where he's when he's wandering in the woods or even when he's like, shall I come over here and sit down and help me out with something? What kind of brand of cigarettes do you smoke? I mean, when he's doing that whole thing, he's just stupid. So I think it works. I mean, Leo is. I don't know anything about Eric Direct. I mean, he's kind of an enigma when it comes to. I mean, there's not a lot of interviews with him.
No,
It's
there's
not like
not.
he didn't like wind up on
Well, he didn't.
CSI or
Obviously,
something.
he didn't. He wasn't brought back. He didn't appear like Lynch could have brought him back in a different role, but he
Right,
did.
the way he
But he
did with
didn't.
Walter Olkowitz was
Right.
brought back
Right.
as like his own nephew.
Or Phoebe Augustine played a completely different character
Phoebe
than
Augustine.
Ronette. So
Yeah, exactly. The American Girl.
they could have easily done that, or he could have
They
easily
could
done
have,
it.
but yeah, Leo Johnson. We found out from the
Eric
Final
Ray.
Doc days
Yeah.
that he's dead. And Eric Ray is not somebody that has gone on to be like famous for something else.
No.
And he's not done a lot of interviews or anything like that. So
Maybe just retired from acting.
He might be doing something else. I don't know. I just don't know anything about him. And so it totally blew my mind to find out that he was Joanna Ray's son. But I think he did a good job, and I think it was good that we had. I think it's always good that when there's an unknown that you can hate so much.
Jonah Ray?
Joanna Ray.
Okay. Because you said Jonah Ray, and I'm thinking because of MST3K.
Jonah Ray is my boyfriend. He's my new boyfriend that I haven't told him about yet.
Oh,
so,
okay. All right. Well.
So if you don't know who Jonah Ray is, Google him and you will fall in love. He is adorable and he's funny and he's tall. He's like 6'4". He just wrap you up in those arms of his and make you feel safe.
Like a big teddy bear.
Like a big teddy bear. Yeah. So he's very hairy. So I love me some Jonah Ray. But no, Joanna Ray. I'm sorry if I was slurring my words together.
That's okay.
But Joanna Ray's son.
You're sick. It's allowed.
Thank you very much. So but yeah, I had no idea because I don't know much about him as a person. I don't know, I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm saying Leo is stupid, and I think that what he did worked. I think it worked just fine.
I think you're right. I totally agree with you there. Next segment, where Cooper is essentially undercover at One-Eyed Jack's with his glasses on, dressed all.
Best thing about this being on audio tape.
In a tuxedo, yeah.
He looks like a movie star. Best thing about this being on audio tape is we don't have to look at Big Ed's bad wig. Man, that's the worst bad wig, man.
But he had that cool bolo tie going.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's like with that bolo tie and that voice. I'm sorry, you're Big Ed Hurley.
I know.
If he walked in there, it'd have been like, Big Ed, why are you wearing a wig?
It's like there's like one gas station in Twin Peaks apparently, so you think everybody would know him.
Yeah.
Now I love his description of Blackie, where he calls her like the madam of the house is a Spider Woman.
Spider Woman, yeah, that's totally her.
Pretty much.
It's like her daddy did to me.
Yep. And talks about that he's always going to return a profit of at least 10% on the dollar.
Mm-hmm. He's from a trick of concentration.
Yep. But apparently, like, he's going to use his profit to cover Big Ed's losses because he's expecting Big Ed to lose at the roulette wheel because it's rigged.
He mentions that in the show that that Big Ed is at what he assumes to be a loaded roulette wheel.
Right.
So it's obviously fixed.
Yeah, roulette, Diane, is a sucker's game.
It is a sucker's game, but it's really fun because it involves no skill. It's just luck.
Right.
Love playing roulette.
This is why I play blackjack instead.
Blackjack's fun, but you do have to pay attention. But roulette, it's like it's not your fault if you lose, and you didn't do anything to win. So it's just sort of you just sit there and wait.
Yep.
I think it's fun.
Yeah. And then he refers to Jock. This is funny. He's like, Diane, if I'm not mistaken, the large, fleshy, dirigible-shaped card dealer taking a seat behind the blackjack table is Jacques Renault.
Yeah, of course.
Dirigible-shaped.
Of course, yep. Dirigible-shaped. For those of you who don't know what a dirigible is,
it's a blimp. Yeah, exactly.
It's a blimp.
Look. That's pretty funny. Next segment, he leaves One-Eyed Jack's. And apparently they got Jacques Renault. I guess they're getting ready to bring him in that they'll maneuver where they kind of corner him and tell. And then Andy is forced to shoot Jacques.
Andy, he doesn't pull out the stops too often, but when he does, he packs a wallop.
Yep.
He can do. He does what he can do. It's another fine moment in law enforcement history.
Yeah, pretty much. So, and then Cooper says, he tells Diane there's a feeling of death in the air. He can't explain it. Maybe it's the evil that Harry talked about.
Foreshadowing!
Pretty much. Yeah. Yes, this big neon light of what this is says foreshadowing. Eat it, Joe's foreshadowing.
Cooper, you're about to get shot.
Yep. There's a season 1 cliffhanger coming up.
There's a season 1 cliffhanger.
Yep.
So he's gonna go back to his room and order some more milk and just, reflect on the events of the evening, and then wham!
Yeah. Well, okay, so the next segment is he's at Calhoun Memorial Hospital after midnight, after, Jacques got shot by Andy and saved Harry's life. Turns out, they figure out that Jacques did not kill Laura. He was just a player in this game, as Cooper refers to him. And now they're focusing on Leo and talks about Dr. Jacoby resting in intensive care, suffering a heart attack.
Those damn kids! They're bad kids, those kids.
Pretty much, causing that poor old Dr. Amp.
Do you know where your freedom is?
Yeah, apparently it's in the ICU. That's where your
freedom is. It's in the ICU, apparently, and it's, that's not nice to do. I just lost any sympathy for Donna.
Right.
In this whole Scooby Gang bullshit that she had going on.
Right.
Not just because of the fact that Dr. Jacoby has a heart attack, but because of what they do to Harold.
Right.
Who's
obviously troubled.
Who is obviously troubled. He's an agoraphobiac who has to stay home, which is why he needs his meals delivered to him. What they do to him is cruel and nasty and is mean and shouldn't happen to a dog.
And he's prone to taking garden rakes to his face.
Harold.
Yeah.
Harold.
Yeah. They talk about James getting picked up for possession of cocaine because he got framed for it because they put the cocaine in his gas tank of his bike.
Oh, I wonder who did that.
Yeah, I wonder.
Oh, let me ask you a question, Charles.
Yeah.
Which man do you think did that? Who was the man that did that?
Who's the man that did that?
Mike is
the man.
The man.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes. Yeah. Are we sure it wasn't baby laxative? No.
Oh, see, Bobby killed a guy.
Bobby killed a guy.
You killed Bobby. You killed Mike, Bobby. That's not Mike. Is this Mike? But yeah, Mike and Bobby frame him.
Yeah. And then Cooper ends it with saying, "I believe I need a large cup of hot, strong coffee."
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where we get a segment from the TV show where Cooper is returning to his room, 315 at the Great Northern Hotel. Diane, 4:37 a.m. After a long investigative night, I'm returning. We have one suspect in custody, and Leo Johnson, the man I believe is responsible for Laura's death, won't be able to escape the dragnet we've thrown up for him much longer.
Dun, 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 dun.
This is my favorite part of this. As you can hear from the ambient sound around me, and I notice with some relief that the Icelandic group staying on my floor have either checked or passed out. I love that pregnant pause he does when he says that.
Yeah, that is awesome.
I love that. I may not need the earplugs, which I did receive today, Diane, although I suspect I may put them to use as a purely precautionary measure. So, and he talks about ordering some hot milk from room service, which we know how that turns out.
24-hour room service.
Okay.
Okay. The world's oldest busboy.
That milk will cool on you.
Oh my God. And then, so of course, we open the door.
Yep. And
we get shot.
Two shots.
And the reason it gets through his Kevlar is because he had rolled it up in search of a wood tick.
Wood tick, yeah. So
that's a hell of a way to kill a wood tick.
Pretty much. So this was the big cliffhanger, and then obviously during the summer, I'm just like, okay, I got to know what happens. So when this audio cassette release came out, I'm just like trying to get as much clues from it because I'm trying to remember if I actually got it before the season 2 premiere or not. But judging by the dates,
I don't think I had it before the premiere. No,
I think it was just after the premiere because that I picked it up because I picked it up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It came out, but
well, and the season 2 premiere had not happened
right
before we had the infamous Saturday Night Live episode where Kyle MacLachlan hosts.
That's true.
And they show you who they say that who killed Laura Palmer was Leo.
Right.
And he's, he's of course not telling anybody that Leo's writing him because he doesn't want to leave Twin Peaks.
I did it.
And then he said, but we still haven't figured out who shot me. I did. You saw me. And it was neither one of those things was true, which I thought was interesting at the time because at the time it was like that scene in The Princess Bride where they're trying to figure out which one of the goblets has the iocane powder.
Right.
I'm like, so it's obviously not Leo because they wouldn't have said that on Saturday Night Live if it was Leo. But would they have just to put us off the scent of that? And then
wait till I get going.
So of course the punchline is that they're both poisoned with iocane, and none of it's true. So, but yeah, it was on that episode of Saturday Night Live, they had two theories as to who killed Laura Palmer. One of them being Leo, and one of them being Shelley.
Yes.
And as we know now, of course, neither one of those was actually how it worked out.
No, that was funny.
Yeah.
Well, I love that bit during the monologue where Kyle MacLachlan just kind of like blurts out,
"Yeah, show
the waitress," and then you get a call from David Lynch.
There's a call for you from David Lynch. Well, what am I supposed to do, David? It's Shelley. The episode's been shot. They're gonna find out. Well, okay. I've been in the business for 10 years, David. Okay. All right. I'll fix it. Okay. But so that was we still didn't know all that stuff when that episode of Saturday Night Live came on.
So then from this point on in the audio here, we get new stuff that wasn't on the television.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, no, I take that back. Well, we did get this part here. This was from the television. I take that back. Where after he's been shot, he's lying there on the floor of his hotel room, and he's hoping
I hope I left it on voice.
Yeah, the
voice activation.
Yeah, inadvertently press the voice activation button. So he's talking about what it feels like after you're shot. He talks about I was trying to chase down a wood tick.
I would like to. This is where we get the line where he says, "I would like to make love to a woman for whom I have genuine affection."
Yes.
And how much he would like the Dalai Lama to return
to Tibet. Yes. Yes.
But there's a line in here, and this is also where he realizes that his ring is gone. Mm-hmm. That he's like, "Oh my God, my ring is gone."
Right.
But there's a line in here that I absolutely loved, and he said, "But getting shot is not as bad as I always thought it would be. And it's okay as long as you can keep the fear from your mind." And that's pretty much true of everything in life, that it's okay if you can just keep the fear from your mind.
Right.
I love that quote.
That's a good quote. I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like the line here where he says, "I would like to climb a tall hill, not too tall, and sit in the cool grass, not too cool.
Not too cool.
And feel the sun on my face."
Yeah.
So.
And it's so true. And it's not that I would want to find, knock on wood, I don't want to find this out for like several hundreds of decades from now.
Yes.
But that's what you think about when you're thinking about what matters in life.
Right.
It's that those little simple pleasure things, like the sun on your face and a cool grass, and not how much money you made or.
Well, and it also just reemphasizes the point about how spiritual Cooper is.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is very, very spiritual.
And he sums it all up. All in all, a very interesting experience.
Yes, and he's for as meticulous and factual as he might be in his profession, I think in his personal life, he's very open-minded to what else the world and beyond might have in store for.
Yeah, totally agree.
Anything.
Next segment, we're back at Calhoun Memorial Hospital, where he's just been checked out by Doc Hayward. Doc Hayward says, "I can expect to live a full normal life," which should be a new experience in and of itself. Which I love that. I love that
That's
line.
That's adorable.
That's a great Cooper line, and it's kind of like interestingly self-aware of Cooper, which I like. If one could buy stock in the medical supply business in Twin Peaks, Diane, this would be a good time to jump in. No shit. No kidding.
Everybody's in the hospital because Josie was set up in the fire.
Right.
Shelley was set up at the fire. No, Pete was at the fire. Shelley was tied up at the fire.
Right.
Somebody shot Leo.
Catherine's missing.
Catherine's gone.
Also, Josie's missing.
Yep. So there's all kinds.
Yeah, he runs this whole big laundry list.
And everything hit the fan that night.
Oh, and he's like, and Big Ed's wife Nadine attempted suicide pills, I believe.
Pills.
Yeah. And Cooper says, "Diane, have you ever had one of those days?"
I love that.
One other thought, Diane, have you ever known
a
really tall man? Like giant size.
Like giant size. One and the same.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, because he sees because as we know, the world's oldest busboy. What is it that Albert calls him? The guy that brings him the milk.
Oh.
Albert calls him something, and I forget what it is.
Oh.
Something insulting, but about how there's it's impossible to get any information out of this guy.
Something geriatric, I forget what.
Geriatric busboy or something I forget what it is, but he
he says the world's oldest waiter or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. I forget what it is, but he
the world's oldest busboy, maybe. I don't know.
Right, but so we find out, and that's of course, he comes in with the milk and tells him that the milk will cool on you.
Yeah.
And then that's when Cooper sees the giant, and then of course the final episode of the series is when we find out that those are the same person, that they're one and the same.
The things I tell you will not be wrong.
Yeah, so it's so hard to remember sometimes that there was a point where this was all so mysterious that we had no idea what the hell was going on.
Right. And next segment, Cooper's recovering from his gunshot wound still, where he's basically saying "ouch" every other sentence.
Ouch!
Ouch! Talking about the process of healing depends on much of a clear, focused thought is a good stiff antibiotic.
Ouch!
Yep.
Yes.
He talks about people using the power of the mind and in Tibet and whatnot. It says he's on the verge of a breakthrough. Ouch!
Ouch! That's so funny.
Yeah. Then next segment, he basically runs down what we know up to this point in the series, and lays it all out about what happened on the night of the murder, what went on at the cabin, the partying at the cabin, Waldo getting let out and attacking Laura,
right? And
then talks about Jacques going outside and passing out. Leo's left them alone, Laura and Ronette all tied up, which at that point apparently the third man entered the cabin. And we know, of course, now who the third man was.
It's still so depressing to think about too.
Yeah, it is. And then talks about that hey, Leo was in jail in Hungry Horse, Montana during the night of the Teresa Banks murder, so
he's not
he's not the serial killer.
No, we of course know who is.
Right,
but
but by this point we don't. So that kind of rules him out. And talks about it took an hour to kill Laura.
Oh,
60 minutes of that.
God.
Yeah.
That's just. Oh, and when you think about that, there had to have been several times during that hour that Bob lets Leland see what's going on too.
Right.
It just. Ugh.
Now, I kind of wonder, okay, did the process, that hour take where he wraps her in plastic, or was it a full hour?
I don't even want to think about it. Yeah. whatever it is, I just don't even want to know. It's just to tell Harry I didn't cry, but Lucy, it's so horrible.
Right. And then talks about finding a blood that 5 miles down the tracks from the train car, Deputy Hawk finds a blood-soaked rag and several scraps of bleached paper. The blood in the rag matches what was used to write the note in the train car, Fire walk with me. Yep. And the blood's not Laura's or Ronette's. It wasn't Jacques or Leo's either. A rare type, AB negative.
That's extremely rare. That is the rarest of the bloods.
Yep. I have AB positive.
Do you really?
I do.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's also pretty rare.
It is. Not as rare, but it's rare. Which means I'm kind of like a universal donor kind of thing.
You're a universal recipient?
Or maybe no, well, that's AB negative. No, that's right. AB negative is not. AB positive is a universal recipient.
Yeah, because O negative is the universal donor, right?
I know O is.
Yeah, whatever the universal
Yeah,
donor is, that's what my father is.
I would think O positive is the O
Yeah,
universal donor.
I forget what it is.
I don't know.
I'm B positive, just like my mother, and my
Yeah.
dad is the whatever the universal donor is.
Next segment is the last one we get to from the series at this point, where it says, Diane, it's 11:55 p.m., approximately 19 hours since the shooting incident that nearly caused me to make a premature purchase of the proverbial farm.
Farm.
So this is the end of the season 2 premiere, where Cooper's walking down the hall.
Yes.
And he's talking about being dog tired, and talks about like experiments conducted on American GIs during the Korean War. Sleep deprivation is a one-way ticket to permanent temporary psychosis, and I'm working on a 3-day JAG.
Yep. He's, and then
he talks about like, well, I got so goofy last night, Diane. I'm wondering if I was going to live or die that I thought I saw a giant in my room. So he's kind of questioning the reality of what happened.
He's kind of questioning the reality of what happened, even though we all know that actually did happen.
Yep.
So
perhaps that's the story I'll save for another time.
And then we have the theme from A Man from Another Place.
Yeah, Dance of the Dream Man. So.
Dance of the Dream Man, yep.
Yep. So, and that's pretty much it. So.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the end of this tape.
Yeah. So, what'd you think, all in all? Do you have a review? Rating?
Yeah, I give this 7 out of 10 wood ticks.
Nice.
And the reason I give it a 7,
yes,
is because I think it's a fun thing to have. I think it's good for hardcore fans.
Right. I
don't think it clears anything up for anybody. I don't think it gives you any insight. It's not like a Cliff Notes that you can listen to and catch up.
Yeah.
I think it's a great performance by Kyle MacLachlan, but I think let's just be honest, it's kind of an unnecessary thing. It was kind of, I think, a cash-in on the popularity of the series.
Right.
And I think it would have been really cool if they had done more with it.
Yeah, expanded upon it.
But
they didn't want to give away too many, because obviously they still had season 2 to go.
True, but I think there could have been more non-TV show
subject matter
to Diane, possibly. I don't even know, but and this is of course hindsight being 2020. You know, there's so much that we know Cooper could have talked about, but he wouldn't. You know, it would have been like his biography. It would have been wrong,
right?
With the whole Teresa Banks, Wyndham Earle thing. I mean, it would have just been the incorrect theories, and I think it would have been interesting if they had done one at the end of the series as well, or even done a revised version after Fire Walk with Me.
Right.
With even more information about it.
Once they because obviously they didn't. I don't think they really fleshed out the story.
No, I don't think they'd fleshed out the story until Fire Walk with Me.
Right.
For sure. And then I think it would have been cool that it would have been something if they'd done a revised edition. You know, Diane just got a call from Gordon Cole. Agent Chet Desmond has gone missing in Washington. I mean, just something like that, and or even just a way to sort of tell.
I've been asked to go in and fill in or whatever. Yeah.
Or you know, Albert has gone to investigate because they found his car with, you know, "Let's Rock" written in lipstick, and
explain some of that too. That would be
right.
Nice.
So I feel like that is the one thing that we just sort of have been left dangling. I mean, not the one thing, but a major thing left dangling in this.
There's one or two dangling plot threads in Twin Peaks.
A couple of things that aren't resolved yet.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big one that we never touched on again, because we don't hear about it in the Secret History, we don't hear about it in the second in the Return series, and we don't hear about it in the Final Dossier. We have no idea what happened to Chet Desmond.
Yeah, that's
and maybe that's because
that's an open playground. Hopefully, somebody will do something with that.
Yeah, I think that would. I mean, I'm
sure there's fan fiction, but I mean, obviously we want something official.
Yeah, exactly. Did Sam investigate that? Is that where? I mean, does Sam come back and say,
I want to know what
I
want to know what Gordon did with this.
Yeah.
After Chet disappeared.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That
and why he went to Cooper, brought Cooper in on this.
But I think I'm trying to put in giving my rating. I'm trying to go back to the time of when this was all we had.
Yeah.
Before we knew that there could have been so much expanded on this.
See, that's the period. Where I'm coming from with this, because I give it 8 out of 10 cassette tapes.
Nice.
For obviously reasons. Because I mean, this was what I liked about this was that it essentially recapped and kind of put everything, connected everything in a more linear narrative.
Right.
Because
It does do
through
that.
episode, and like, yeah, sure, we had VHS, but it was
Not
kind of
that
nice.
good. We didn't.
Well,
Not
I had VHS
in 91?
Yeah,
1990 you
I
had
did.
this?
I told you I recorded this live.
Oh, okay, you taped it, but it wasn't something you could have bought.
No, it wasn't something I could have bought, but I taped it off the television. Is my point.
Right. You had VHS if you had foresight to tape them.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, I
Which,
did.
Yeah, not all of us did back then.
I know.
So.
I understand that. So,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So it's kind of nice to have that and I like the fact that it's like it kind of lays things out, and it was good to kind of get a better grasp of the story heading into season 2.
I think that was good, but like I said, even with taking out the whole, there could have been so much more, and the only reason I know that is because it's 25 years later, and I've watched and read everything that has come since then.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, even at the time, I thought, why didn't they expand more on that chocolate bunnies thing?
Right.
Or, why wasn't there more with, at the hospital after Sheriff? We got a lot to talk about. Then okay, talk.
Yeah, we had to start talking. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of things that could have been.
Yeah, no, I did appreciate that they got Kyle for this.
And absolutely, and I love that Kyle MacLachlan did this. I think it's a fantastic performance by him as usual.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it does, and this could be me looking at it with 25 years of cynicism and heartbreak.
Right.
But it does sort of feel like a cash grab.
Yeah.
And I feel like it could have expanded on some things that it didn't expand on. But at the time, it could have.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you watch the television, series, this isn't going to really hit you with any new insights. But I think it kind of puts everything in context, and
it's just a good,
it lays it out. So it's like if you kind of want a good refresher, maybe of this, especially that first season.
Exactly, it's a good companion for fans, and it's a fun thing to have, and it's a good way to continue to immerse yourself in the world of Twin Peaks.
Right.
But is it?
It's just kind of like bonus deleted scenes. It's almost like bonus deleted scenes.
Yeah, it is kind of like bonus, and not very many of them. It's like if I'm going to rate something that is this type of thing with Twin Peaks, I would say the Diary is much more.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah,
and I think they did more with it.
And the autobiography.
Well, and even the autobiography, yes, definitely. But again, I feel like I discount a lot of that because I know that wound up not being true.
Right. It got contradicted.
Contradicted. But with this one, I feel like it could have been a double cassette. Yeah. Easily with just a few more.
Well, yeah, like we talked about, this is only 45 minutes, so they could.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes. Yeah, it's not much. I mean, it could have been 2 hours.
It's like one TV episode, really.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, a clip show.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, it is a clip.
And I'm glad that it is because, I mean, at least we have that.
Yeah.
But, again, I would have liked to have heard someone expanding on things. Yeah. If they were going to go down that road, they should have gone down it a little further.
Right. Okay, so next time on Ghostwood, we're going to actually kind of digress a little bit I know we digress on the show a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We are aware of this. But we're kind of going to digress from the subject material or a little bit because we're going to stay within the David Lynch realm.
We are going to do what we're calling Ghostwood examines the roots of Twin Peaks.
There you go. The foundations of Twin Peaks.
The foundations of Twin Peaks, yes.
There you go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to the beginning.
The very beginning.
The very beginning. So
back to the radiator.
Yeah, exactly. The lady in the radiator. And so
everything is fine.
So yes, we're going to be talking Eraserhead.
Yes.
David Lynch's first film.
Feature film.
And so obviously starring Jack Nance and I'm trying to remember who else. I know Betty Briggs is in it.
Yeah, Charlotte
Stewart.
Charlotte Stewart, yes.
Yes, that's it. So
and for those of you who don't know, Catherine Coulson is part of the crew. She's makeup or costumes, I forget which.
Right. I think
But
probably
at the
makeup. Probably
time,
makeup. Yeah.
at the time, she was married to Jack Nance.
This is true. That's a good trivia bit.
And yeah, they were married at the time. And I believe, is he not credited in this as John Nance? Isn't he John Nance in this?
I can't remember.
Okay.
It's been a while since I watched this, so this
Yeah.
will be good because like obviously we're going way back.
Way back, yeah. And and this begins their longtime collaboration of, Jack Nance being in pretty much everything David Lynch ever touched.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that in a couple weeks. So you got a couple weeks to kind of figure out where you're gonna watch this if you don't already own it.
I have 2 versions of it.
I have to
plus the soundtrack.
I have to dig out my copy because I don't have a DVD handily available, but I can find it.
You should just go over and we'll watch it together and keep each other sane.
Yes, that would be a good idea. Listen, we could have a Eraserhead party. Woo!
Oh, that is a game with no winners.
We can have a little cradle with a creepy baby thing inside.
Oh, sure, it is a baby.
That you just want to take a sledgehammer to and put it out of its misery.
Just cut its little bandages off and watch it boil over.
Yes, this little
movie kid.
sickly unskinned chicken thing or whatever it is.
Good God.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So obviously we're in for a bit of a ride next time. So everybody.
Hang on, lady.
Yep. So yeah, hang on. We're going for a ride. So in the meantime. If you want to get a hold of us here on Ghostwood and you want to any suggestions you want to offer us about stuff we should cover here on the podcast, you can drop us a line on the Twitter machine at GhostwoodCast, or you can email us at ghostwoodpodcast@gmail.com. The Gmail. So yeah, drop us a line there. We'd love to hear from you. And you can obviously reach us on our Facebook page, Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks Podcast, as well. Give us the likes, give us the follows, all that stuff. We'd appreciate it. And then Xan, where can they reach you?
I'm on the Twitter machine as Udinax19 and Facebook as Xan Sprouse, and I of course can be found on the Ghostwood versions of all of those social media sites. What about you, Charles?
Of course. Also on the social media thing at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine, at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram.
Oh, yes, I'm Udinax19 on the Instagram as well. I always forget to use Instagram, and I should use it more often.
And on the Instagram, I've recently posted a bunch of photos from Wizard World Cleveland, if you want to check those out.
Yeah, because who did you meet, Charles?
Maybe David Tennant.
David Tennant right here.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, or Matt Ryan. Constantine himself, who was really nice. Tennant was really nice too. Got Ray Fisher, Cyborg.
Yep,
and then Ezra Miller.
What? The
Flash. So, and then Lori, my wife, picked up Nichelle Nichols.
Oh, is she not the sweetest?
She is so lovely. So.
She's you don't really see a lot of people in this country that you would consider regal, but oh my God.
Right, she does have a presence.
She is the classiest of the class act. She's an amazingly, wonderfully poised,
very
serene, gorgeous woman.
Yes, so
I saw her in Las Vegas doing a demonstration for the MAC Cosmetics booth.
Really?
She's 90.
Yeah, I know.
And more beautiful than any of us could ever hope to possibly be.
I wish I could look that good at 90. Let's just
oh my God, I wish I could look as good as she does at 90 right now.
Yeah, that's true.
She's amazing.
Yeah,
she's absolutely amazing.
Other than that, I'm on the Google Plus for all you crazy kids in the Google Plus. And Facebook, of course, at Charles Skaggs. And my blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Damn good coffee and hot. Where I talk about all the stuff we talk about here on Ghostwood. Including all kinds of Twin Peaks stuff. Whenever it comes out. And comic book and sci-fi goodness. And all kinds of casting news, show news.
It's all around geekiness.
If it's geeky and it's caught my interest, I'm talking about it.
Are you going to have...
Go ahead.
Are you going to talk about Jon Favreau's new Star Wars TV show?
I did. I just posted an article on that today. So,
nice.
Yep, so that's all up there. So, yep, I'm on it. Because, yeah, Favreau's doing a new Star Wars show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but of course you have to buy the Disney streaming service to watch it.
Wait,
Unless
how much is it? How much
alternate
is it a month?
means. Oh,
Oh well, Charles. Now let's be on the level here.
I know.
What is their streaming service cost? Is it like $5 a month, $10 a month? What is it?
I don't know. Hopefully it's affordable. I would think.
Hopefully, because I mean, I can't imagine wanting to watch a whole heck more than that.
No,
You know?
that's it. Well, I kind of treat it like CBS All Access because I don't want to get like a CBS All Access account just to watch
Mhm.
Star Trek Discovery.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I'll do it to watch Star Trek, and
Yeah.
then that's going to be it. You know.
Yeah, at least DC Comics, when they're coming out with their digital services, they're having several new shows that I'm actually interested in. So it's kind of
Right.
justifies their like spending that money because it's not just
I mean,
one show. There's
maybe Disney's going to add some content that I would actually want to see, but I mean, there's not a lot on Disney right now that I'm particularly.
right.
I mean, I don't have kids.
Yeah,
So...
if they brought back like Tron Uprising, which was
Oh yeah,
because I was a big fan of that show, and they
I was a
yanked
big
that
fan of
super
that, yeah.
fast. They still haven't released it on home video, which pisses me
Tron
off.
gets so little love, and it's just. And what's funny is that there are so many.
I give it a little love.
It's seriously, I went to see Tron Legacy.
Yep.
In the theater with a 101 degree fever.
Kind of like you have now, no?
Because I promised Bruce Boxleitner that I would.
Right.
I was at a convention in Toronto, and we were at this panel where we had to surrender our phones and our cameras and all that stuff because we got to see a clip of Tron Legacy before it came out. And so we saw some Tron Legacy stuff and then some of the Tron video game stuff. And Bruce Boxleitner said, he's like, if you want to do me a favor, go see this movie opening. You know what? Go 4 times. Go see it opening. And we all said we would. And so I'm there freezing like, I promise, Bruce Boxleitner. And I'm just sitting there, and towards the end of the movie, when they go back from the grid back into the real world, my fever broke and I got sweaty, and I'm like, oh, I hope this movie's over soon so I can go home and go to bed. But yeah, there are people out there like you and me, Charles, who absolutely adore Tron, who adore it.
Yes, and I loved Tron Legacy, so I know
Tron Legacy was fantastic.
I know Tron.
People
want to give Tron Legacy shit, but I love it.
Tron Legacy is fantastic, and
and the soundtrack, you cannot beat that soundtrack because it's
why that was not nominated for an Oscar. I will never ever know. That was Daft Punk, y'all.
Well, because it was Tron Legacy.
Because it was Tron Legacy.
And because the Academy kind of turns its nose up at anything comic book sci-fi.
We should just be lucky that this year we got Guillermo del Toro sci-fi monster movie won the best.
That was more fantasy.
It's a monster movie.
They like fantasy because they like Lord of the Rings. They can tolerate
only that last one though.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the conciliatory Lord of the Rings.
And it's not even the best movie because, as far as I'm concerned, Fellowship of the Ring is the best movie.
I don't know. I think
Lori likes Two Towers.
Two Towers is I feel like Two Towers is the necessary bridge to the two movies.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, Two Towers does have the Ghost Army, so it's got that going for it, but
which is nice.
But I really do like Return of the King. But yeah, Tron Legacy does not get the love it deserves, and it needed that. I was ready for a third Tron, and I'm still ready for a third Tron. And if they want to do that on the Disney streaming, I will buy it. I will subscribe. No problem.
Totally. So before we get another hour of talking about Tron Legacy, we should probably wrap it up.
We should probably wrap it up. I do want to say a couple of things before we wrap it up. Just another reminder.
Yes.
Southgate Media Group Patreon, a great way to support podcast entertainment.
Yes, please do.
It comes to you free, but of course it isn't free to make it. It does take time and resources, and we are extremely lucky that Rob Southgate is our Lord and Master and does all of this for us. So we don't
help Rob keep the lights on, everybody.
Yes, help Rob keep the lights on because he's what keeps us going. I would also like to remind everybody that April 21st, mark your calendars. We just found out today or yesterday the official list for Record Store Day.
Oh, that's right.
The Record Store Day list came out, and there are picture disc versions of the soundtracks from the limited series, the soundtrack and the score.
Oh, okay, cool.
There are vinyl picture disc versions. I think
nice.
The score The score is the curtains.
And this would be the Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Twin Peaks. Yes, this is
yes.
Twin Peaks. Back to our podcast.
I know.
We're actually supposed to be talking about.
Well, see, that's where you confused me. It's like, well, we're actually talking about Twin Peaks. That's what
Are we talking about Twin Peaks on our Twin Peaks podcast? Yeah, I think the score has the curtains of the Black Lodge on the picture disc, and I think that and this was just the press photos from the list that just got released. And like I said, I get released either today or yesterday.
Okay.
And the picture disc for the soundtrack is that reflection in the puddle of the roadhouse.
Right.
Bang bang.
Yeah, bang bang. Yeah.
So, and of course with Record Store Day, it's not like you can pre-order things. It's not like you can, put your name on the list and have somebody hold it for you. You've got to go to your local record store, come early and buy often.
Record stores haven't figured out the pull list concept.
Well, record stores have, but this is an event. This is an event.
True. And they want to get people in the stores, obviously.
They want people in the stores on that day because record stores do have, they have great sales. They have great events. A lot of stores will sometimes have bands come and play. And we're talking like limited runs of these things. I mean, some Record Store Day regional limited releases are limited to 250 copies.
Got it.
And I don't remember what the recordstoreday.com, you can see the full list of what's coming. But yeah, Twin Peaks is going to be available. If you are in the Columbus area, I highly recommend going to see. Actually, I probably shouldn't tell you because this is where I'm going to go. But leave me a couple of copies if you do go. But I highly recommend.
Don't go until after Xan goes. Then you're good.
Yeah. Once you see me walk out, then go right ahead and see what you can find. But I highly recommend hitting up Spoonful Records, downtown Columbus, and because first of all, the owners, Andy Kesting and Britt Rutland, are awesome people, and they also carry Blue Rose magazine.
Oh, very cool.
So if you can't make it out there, but you're still in Columbus, I would also recommend Lost Weekend or Records Per Minute as places to go for your Record Store Day needs. But definitely shout out to Spoonful for being Twin Peaks aware.
Friendly.
Twin Peaks friendly people. Yes, you can go there for all your Twin Peaks needs.
They are one of us.
And that's another thing, too, with Record Store Day. Record store owners only have so much control over what they get. If they order 5 copies of something, they might only get 1. It just depends on how the distributors distribute based on the orders of records. And this is all over the country.
Right.
Because there's a U.S. releases and there's a Europe release list, and those are different. So, but also another thing you might be interested in, Charles, is that there is a couple of Doctor Who releases. One of them being a
wasn't City of Death, I believe.
City of Death in one of the Cybermen episodes as well.
Okay.
The old Cyberman episodes.
Cool.
So yeah, there's a lot of nifty stuff. So
excellent.
Yeah, and honestly, if you call your record store saying, "Hey, do you have this? Can you hold it?" They're going to say, "No, come stand in line with everybody else." I would consider Brett and Amy friends, and I'm not even going to try to ask them to hold something for me because that is unfair. That is not how Record Store Day works. Yep. You go and you get what you get, and you have fun doing it. So
there's people standing in line, and you can quiz them about what they're getting, and if they're buying something that you want, and you're not sure there's going to be enough, you can kneecap them.
I've actually done that. There was one year I went to this is tangentially David Lynch related. There was a year that Monument Records released a box set of Roy Orbison's Monument LPs, and I wanted that, and I knew that Lost Weekend Records on High Street had gotten 4 copies of that. Because, sometimes they will tell you how many copies they have, and if you go and there's 80 people and 9 of them want the thing that you want and there's 8 of them, then you know that you're probably not going to get that. Because it is a first come, first serve kind of situation. So I got there 5, 6 in the morning, something like that, to wait in line. And I said, "What's everybody here for?" And some smart aleck guy said, "Records." I said, "Okay, you can shut up." I said, "Okay, I'll just be more direct. Is anybody here for Roy Orbison?" And they said, "No, I'm here for Fish. I'm here for Dave Matthews Band. I'm here for Pink Floyd, whatever." I said, "Okay, well, there's 2 of us that want the Roy Orbison thing, and I know he has 4, so we're good to go."
There you go. All right.
That's about as good as you can get when it comes to Record Store Day. If your record store owner will tell you how many they got, or if at least they can tell you that they did get it, you know that you might have a shot at it, but yeah, don't expect anybody to hold anything for you. That's unfair and not in the spirit of it. So.
Not cool. No.
Not cool.
Not cool. Okay, so everybody, come on back for episode 31 of Ghostwood Twin Peaks podcast, where we talk Eraserhead.
Roots of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, the roots of Twin Peaks. So we'll see you next time, right here. Ghostwood out. Bye, everybody.
Everybody.